It's over. Oh.
Kind of pioneering it back in, and a couple of teams trying to emulate that, but given the rest of the composition around it, is this maybe a pick that you were expecting to go towards solo, or were you maybe thinking that that last pick could have been something that could have been variety instead?
Yeah, Willie was hovering that op wash. I think either way, it's a difficult comp for the Kings to pull off. It takes a lot of, you know, skill and team composition to be like just always ready. Your comps have to be on when you play these mostly no frontliner comps. Afra's obviously going to be super tanky, but she's not like the end-all be-all frontliner god. And the Glads have really easy engage. Dash taunt for Athena. If you don't have somebody that can withstand that, or somebody that can maybe even bait it out. Actually, Quick getting super low here. They do end up getting it, but maybe Jake steals something away here. Nothing stolen away. Maybe they still look to guard this entrance a little bit, because this is something where this wave is going to be completely messed up for Yarkor and Quig. And if Snoopy walks back a little bit, he'll be able to get the farm. Unfortunately, they don't want to play up any farther. Snoopy does it too, but they now have opted to back up, clear the wave. But like I was saying, the not having a true Guardian, true Warrior frontliner is very easy to exploit if you have easy engage. And dash taunt from Athena, you have really easy engage with Kana on this Wukong too. And then you also have like that sneakiness of that Morrigan. It's very easy for the Glads to play the late game, and it is going to be very difficult for the Kings to play it. So yes, I think it'll be fine. I think if they get ahead, it can be okay. But it's not going to be very easy when it comes to that 5v5 late game, 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think going back a little bit to what BMT was saying yesterday when we had him in studio. This is going on a little bit different necessarily. You know, saying our team's kind of playing on hard mode. That was mostly with some of the picks that they play compared to the meta. We do see Quig in a bit of danger. Dash from Yarkor puts him out of position, but just enough sustain for the two. Keeps them both alive for now, but man, that early start really felt like it put Quig and Yark on the back foot. Difficult time clearing over in that dual lane between the two of them. You saw how long it took them just to get the first couple of the three camps down.
Yeah, it took them a lot longer. And also Jake went for this horrific. That horrific was used there. Doesn't force out anything, but it does give them a lot of lane advantage. Twig, backing on the side of the map. This lane should spell a lot of early pressure in favor of Athena and Soul. They have really easy engage like we've talked about. Dash taunt from Athena, good follow-up from Soul, and then consistent sustain along with consistent damage. But once Quig hits this level, you know, 6, 7 spot where he's got more points than Lovebird, so the sustain is higher, it should be a pretty safe lane for both sides.
Now, how do you feel about the difference in the starts for the two supports? You have the War Flag into what appears to be at least the Gauntlet of Thieves for Quig, where opposite side, Jake going for the Benevolence into the kind of Prophetic. Is there anything kind of major between those two build style paths that might be a bit indicative of the play style for these two supports and these teams?
Well, usually when you see Athena, it's Sentinels, so you can have slightly more tankiness when you look for that dash taunt around level 15. Going for the Benevolence usually means Compassion. It's just outright better than Heroism. Heroism does have some strength at some points, but for the most part, Compassion just is a better item. I expect nothing really changes with Athena and how she wants to play, because she really only has the one style, just dash taunting. But Quig with this War Flag should mean a lot of like really hard trades in 3v3s. Like Quig's going to be playing up, trying to look for stuns, baiting out abilities. He's not going to be playing in the back line as much, but he still has capabilities to do that. I just expect him to dive maybe a little bit more, look to play in the front line with variety, because if you look at this Kings comp, we've already talked about it a little bit, they don't have a true tank. So I think Afra's going to have to be kissed to variety, to this solo laner, so he's able to play a little bit more disrespectfully and able to get off more damage.
It's been a slow start so far. Only real action has been over in that dual lane with the rough start from Quig and Yark and putting them on the back foot in this dual lane. Level 5's now here for Jake and Snoopy, so keep your eyes on where Jake decides to go. Does he stick around the dual lane? Does he find a gank opportunity in one of the opposite ends? We'll have to see if that ends up happening, but for the time being, Snoopy and Jake playing this lane very slowly, maybe trying to deny a little bit of farm to the Camelot Kings, keep those level 5s from hitting. But a gank onto Variety, Oxform in, a dive with the bat, and just an ultimate from Kana to guarantee that he stays alive. First blood goes to the Gilded Gladiators, and Jake's ultimate not even necessary. The damage from Kiermi and Kana is plenty.
And Variety opts for that Aegis, and instead of popping the Aegis off the burst, he opts to go into the ult to maybe try to CC Kiermi out, so Kiermi is not able to get into the Bat out of Hell. Unfortunately, Kiermi's able to get up. Also, Kana's able to get up. They get the damage off. We're taking a little bit of damage there. They get the damage off enough to confirm, and Variety is not able to use that Aegis. And like you said, enough damage that Jake doesn't even have to rotate over. So they still have that ultimate threat from him. They still have the ultimate threat from Jengaru. I would not expect the Glads to slow down anytime soon.
I just looking at this team, I think you and the desk really highlighted well. If there's no real true tank for the side of the Camelot Kings, their execution come late game can be a lot more difficult compared to the Gladiators. I mean, simple. You have an Athena, hit dash, hit taunt. There you go. There's your initiation. You got Kana. If you need to, jump up in the cloud for a little bit of safety. So Camelot Kings can have it a bit tougher once we start really getting these 5v5 groups. But I think those group ups in the early game might be where some of the strength of the Camelot Kings come from. A lot of burst damage on the on this team. Having that Aphrodite to link to Captain Twig, BMT, whoever it needs to be, could get you that extra bit of safety. Jake trying to go for a buff steal with Snoopy. They are able to take that one away. Snoopy uses the ultimate, maybe a little much, but confirms the buff nonetheless.
And we've highlighted not a ton of fighting should be happening in solo lane around this point. Super safe lanes. I don't mind using the ult to control or to confirm that buff. I prefer it over losing that buff, so I'm always fine with using your ults like that. Especially in slower games like this. If we're perma-fighting something like that, maybe we're having a different story, but this should be mostly fun.
BT in danger. Double dive by the double bat. One in the sky, two in the sky, and one in the grave. A jump in by Captain Twig a bit early to catch the Bat out of Hells from either of the Gilded Gladiators, but in the aggression forward, Captain Twig gets the dash and an ultimate from Awesome Jake. The Jengar should be fine. Low on mana for the mid laner, but a second kill now for the Gladiators.
And the Glads have kind of opted into this more aggressive style. They're looking for ganks. Yes, they farm till 5, but once 5 was hit, they're going to start putting their pressure around the map. I would expect to start getting deep waves. Actually looking for Variety again here. Aegis is forced, takes a little bit of damage. No dash available yet. Kiermi confirms the kill on the gank. Must have saw Variety use his dash earlier, and it was still coming up off a cooldown. 3-0 lead for the Glads, and a gank onto Yark.
Dash taunt onto Yark, holds the beads. It's just knowing that Snoopy doesn't have Supernova. Maybe gives Yark a bit of confidence knowing that the damage isn't as high as it could be. Yark and Quig, though, not going to give up on this shield buff, trying to steal this one away from Jake, and Snoopy taunt onto Yark once more. But not a lot of follow-up damage this time. Still going back and forth on this buff. Not into one of the commits just yet. To the side, big man Ting's rotating over. Guarantees the shield buff for the Camelot Kings, who still, even despite the deficit in the dual lane, are continuing to fight back against Jake and Snoopy.
And this is just the prio that Afro gives you in this lane. She wants to just trade poke, permanently fight. As long as it's a 2v2, Afro wins most of these. So why you see like the metas from the first phase where Aphrodite was picked. She kind of just sat in lane, and that's carried over to this phase. Aphrodite, when she's picked, she wants to sit in this 2v2 because she's so strong.
Garu jukes out the stun, use the beads anyways as Kiermi dives in. It's an ult from BMT in response, but not going to get the kill this time. However, very important resource burned. As mentioned, Purification beats down for Jengaru in the mid until that ultimate comes back online. It'll be a moment where we can see the double dive back onto Big Man Tings again. The transformation targets, I think, was a big discussion on the desk. Who does Jengaru going towards? Early game, probably this Bat at Camazotz, making sure to double down with Kiermi. But we've even seen some teams and some players, when you have an Athena on the map, have an Athena for yourself. Maybe we see that utilized here again. Variety doesn't even realize that Kiri's on the way. Has already used the crash now. Ultimate trying to taunt Kana back in, but a dive in. And an Athena ultimate right on top. Kiri, though, gonna take up the tower. Bat out of Hell swoops, and Jengaru joins in. It's a double Athena dive to the right lane. Variety just cannot catch a break.
And Myth highlighted it really well with solo lane. This is going to be a very easy Ryzen 2 dive. You've got immunities into the air with Kana, Kiermi. You have the Athena ult. You also have another global in Jengaru, or just another rotation to use the Bat out of Hell or whatever. It is very hard for Variety to live this lane. That's why I was a little surprised that they actually opted to put this Ryzen into solo lane and pick that Morgan last, Morgan Le Fay. But That's not the point of this Ryzen. It's not for this early portion. Yes, he's got a strong early game. It's mostly for that mid game and that late game poke potential. A little bit of trading out here. Twig forced into the ultimate. Nothing else really used. I guess Horrific from Jake was also used. 4-0 lead for the Glad, 1,600 or 2,000 gold. Sorry. Nice early lead, but we got to see them pushing towards these gold fears.
Start heading to objectives. Start getting more than just variety, I should say, for kills as well. Has been a lot of pressure to the solo lane. Hasn't had a 1-level lead for Kana, which is the break that he so desperately has been needing. It's been a lot of camping in his lane by enemy teams. And now Captain Twig in the jungle. Ultimate from Quig will keep him alive. Supernova does clip him. One more hit would have done it, but he just barely makes it out. And the heal from Quig just in time to keep him alive. But with Captain Twig gone and BMT going back to base, it's just going to be the duo of the Kings to try and stop this Gold Fury 4 nearby. And Jake as the spearhead front line. Nobody on the Kings is going to step in. The Gladiators with 4 kills and a Gold Fury now put themselves at a comfortable 2,500 gold lead.
And a really good play by the Glads there to actually look for the offensive play first before backing up to the Gold Fury. It allows them to then bully out and actually just get a free Gold Fury, essentially, especially with Big Man backing in mid. And I'm pretty sure Jengaru saw him back, so it was pretty free. 4v3 about to happen in solo or dual lane, though.
Watch out, Kirby. You got a full rotation through. Twig and BMT are back. Bat out of hell is there. Make sure that Kirby get back to the safety of his jungle. Dual lane is fine as well. Good bait by Yarkor and Quig. Even seeing Kirby walk across the ward, wasn't scared to continue standing their ground.
And I think what you said there with safety with that bat out of hell, that explains this Glad's comp almost to a T. There is so much safety in this comp. Even the characters that don't have like a true dash and a true ability to get away, Sol and Morgan, they have a lot of survivability in their kits, and then they also have the Athena ult on top of it. It's going to be very hard for this Kings team to look for picks, and this is like kind of the idea with their comp, these 2v3s, these 3v3 or 2v2s, 3v3s. They want to try to find these picks, but that is not an easy comp to get picks on.
Anytime you're trying to deal with an Athena who can just taunt somebody away at any given moment, or maybe 2 Athenas if Jengar transforms into 1. Always some level and some way for these players to get away for the time. Jeremy stunned out, hit by the kiss and the pack off. Put down a half health, but Jengar and Kana are here. Returning fire right back against Quig. Gets the ultimate early. It's still half HP, but Captain Twig with a crash down on top of 2 and Variety into the drums. The health bars are getting low, but nobody's going down just yet. It might just be Jake as the sacrifice and the first kill for the Camelot Kings. Kana, Kirby, all on the run, but it's the full 5-man force of the Camelot Kings to find their first pick.
And a really good grouping by the Kings and a good response to the Glads pushing too far into their jungle. Good poke and then good all-in by the Kings. They get this win, and then Beacon spawns, kind of putting them into a spot where they can now mitigate that early game that the Glads have. They get this Beacon, they get a response kill onto Jake. Unfortunately, you'd probably want just about anyone else over Jake. The jungler's 2-0, the mid's 2-0. But you get your first kill, it helps you out, kind of calms down the nerves a little bit. 1,700, 1,800 gold lead for the Glads right now. Kings need anything they can get to kind of get them back into this game.
And giving the kill to the person who probably needs it the most right now as well, Variety. He's been struggling. He was 0-3 going into that fight. Now his first kill, Captain Twig taunted back. Connected to Quig. Should be fine for now, but Kirmi jumps in. Back off. Keeps Kirmi away for the time being. And it looks like the fight will disperse over towards the jungle. Kind of taking a look at the Hunters here. Snoopy, still a very traditional route for his style of build on the Soul. A little bit of attack speed, a little bit of lifesteal. The Atalanta's bow, we saw it a little bit with the Erlong Shen styles of jungle, the Bologna jungle that we were seeing last week as well. Now it's starting to make its way over into the Hunter role.
And we've seen this double flat pen build from ADCs before. And a lot of the time that it's built on gods like on her, or it's built onto physical gods into this magical matchup. This Soul does not have as many physical protections as a lot of the other gods available. I think she's one of the lowest actual in the game. And it provides a lot of extra kill potential. We actually saw a solo kill happen against Soul. I think it was by Hachiman also, down 2 levels because he had the double flat pen build. It provides so much 1v1 potential. Yes, you don't have that true spike of like an Xe or a kin size in that second, third slot. But the 1v1 potential of this double flat pen build is through the roof.
See a group of the Gladiators around Pyromancer, but will it be for the objective or for a fight? Jake and Kirmi step up, but They're standing on a sentry ward right between two rocks. Now it's on the way. Does put 4 members of the Gladiators and a 5th one on the way. Dash taunt 2, Variety gets the beads from the Raijin. Will be able to Thunder Crash out for the time. With the damage just off the mark from Kana. Means we won't see a kill that direction. Dark Horror gonna split push while the Pyromancer picked up by the Gladiators. Jake stunned out, Snoopy there, and the Pyromancer confirmed for the Order team.
Gold Fury up, looks like a small grouping happening right here. They want to confirm these oracles so you have that vision. Gold Fury, kind of taking a lot of poke before this fight even happens.
Let's get up into the cloud. Supernova used by Snoopy to dash top by Jake. Doesn't find anything through. Now it's Variety coming back into Detroit along with Captain Twig, but Twig is taking a little too much poke back to the help of Jangaro on his transformation. Coupled with Kirby's, it's not getting a whole lot of damage out. Jake is low. The taunt connects, and the Raichu is there. Variety with a 2nd kill for the Camelot Kings. The Gilded Gladiators now have to turn tail and run from the fight that they started up.
And what a kind of just like an in and out fight by the Gladiators. You see how much survivability and just ability to kind of get around these fights without taking much damage. Unfortunately, not enough damage comes through. They focus a little bit too much damage onto Quig and Quig's mate. I don't even know what's it called when she's kissed to that person. Mate or whatever it is. Soulmate, that's what it is.
There you go.
Kiss to the soulmate. Kirmi actually taking a little bit of damage here. Maybe looks to go down. Dash in. Kirmi down to 100 health. Dropping lower. Confirmed kill by Variety. And this mid-game portion, the Aphrodite, the Raijin kiss together, link together. A lot of damage and a lot of safety for that Raijin.
Jake still playing aggressive, seeing if he can get any relic from anyone with these dash taunts, but hasn't been able to do so just yet. 3rd kill for the Camelot Kings, and all 3 onto Variety. He started this game out with nothing, but it was the primary target of the Gilded Gladiators, but now it's all been answered right back to even up the kill and death count for them. Camelot Kings get the Oni Fury on top of that, and the 2,500 gold lead that the Gladiators had just earlier on from that first gold, now down to nothing. A dead even game between the 2 teams, Bobby.
All Kings since that 2,500 gold lead. 3 kills, like you said, onto Variety after starting 0-3. And this game is even now. This is a completely even game. Early game does not matter. Now it's those next few spikes that we're going to be hitting. Supports hit their starter before anyone else a lot of the time. But we already see Kana's level 17, mid laner's level 17, both supports 12, 13. This could be a very fed mid laner getting their sands or their conduit early. And if that happens, we should expect both these teams to play around those spikes.
Even with the comeback for Variety, hasn't been able to fully close that lead that Kana established just yet. I don't think Snoopy recognizes that he's standing on top of a ward. So even the wall is not safe for him to use to try and at least break line of sight with the enemy team. Gilded Gladiators, though, who start to get this next beacon spawn up. We'll see how much of a fight they've got in. Jake goes in for the dash, doesn't land the taunt. Nice pushback from BMT. We'll keep Jake away. For now, the beacon is being capped by the Gladiators, but the dual lane wrapping back through. Yarkor, he dashes aggressively, and no further follow-up from the Gilded Gladiators. The fact that the Hunter just dashed in the face of 4 people and not a single ounce of damage thrown his way. Confidence over to the Kings. And Captain Twig goes back in. Kirby jumps away. Yarkor goes with the ultimate, but Kirby jumps up to the sky, I think just in time to escape. Oh no! He doesn't get away from the damage and drops to under 30 HP. Nearly a kill for Yark.
And at this point, the Glads are falling into this trap of trading poke with the Kings. You don't want to trade into a poke comp. You want to get this all in, play around your dash taunt, stop playing around this little poke that the Kings are dealing with. That beacon fight is all Kings. They poke you down a little bit, and then as you said, 30 health for Kirmi. If we're talking another 30 health anywhere else, Kirmi's dead, and an even bigger advantage for the Kings to maybe opt for this pyro or to push down middle or right. So far, we've seen 2 styles, or 2 different stories of this game. We saw the early game portion where it was Variety getting ganked, and that was just the story. He was just dying a lot. And then the mid game is just all Aphrodite. I think this Aphrodite has been kind of the entire Kings team so far.
And he's been able to keep BMT alive, keeping Captain Twig whenever he's getting dove on. Variety has taken dive, and some poke from the Gladiators in these jungle corridors. It's been Quig keeping this team alive. We start to see another group up around the Pyromancer yet again. Ward is down for the Camelot Kings, but the gank is on top of BMT. Pops the beads and dives under the tier 1 tower. Quig use the heal to try and keep him alive. Variety is back to try and push the Gilded Gladiators away. This fight starts around the Pyromancer. Started to migrate over towards mid, but keep your eyes on Yarkor. He's making his rotation back. Nearly took out Kirmi last time. Pyromancer down to a quarter. Double taunt from Awesome Jake with a turn and burn right back to Jake. The Kings might be fine losing an objective. They get a couple of kills with it. Variety gets Awesome Jake, Captain Twig, dies on top of Kana, but in the backline it's BMT who gets blown up by the Gladiators comp. Kirmi, credit for that kill. The rest of the Kings under the tier 1 tower. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but the Gladiators got the Pyromancer with it.
And Variety heard the invis from Morgan behind, and he turns around and throws an ult back there, finds Jengaru. Jengaru is forced to transform earlier than he wanted to, but it doesn't matter. He gets the knock up onto Big Man, and Big Man is not able to get ult off. Confirming the kill, a 1-for-1 and Pyro for the Gladiators. Slightly, I mean, you lose your support. If you're losing anyone, you'd want it to be your support, and you kill the enemy mid laner. Now, pretty much cements the first level 20. The first starter item will be either Kana or Jengaru, with Big Man going down. And right now, even though the Kings have kind of been winning the last few fights other than this Pyro fight, the Glads have all the momentum. A lot of relics down on both sides. Actually, not many down by the Gladiators. This should be a pretty comfortable fight for them. Curious to see if the Kings look to take it.
4-man stack. The Gladiators around Primal, though Snoopy doesn't have any mana for himself. Jake goes in with the taunt, gets beads from Yarkor, ult from Variety. Not enough to steal the Primal away, but what about the fight after? Jake goes up to the ultimate. It's not going to be enough. BMT shows up, and Captain Twig on the gank to Kana just managed to get a bit of damage, but the Ox form going to give enough movement speed to try and get away. The continued dive for the Camelot Kings. It's Variety under the tower, takes down his lane opponent on the rampage for the Kings solo laner, and now a push towards the tier 2 tower. They've got the wave, they've got their hunter there. It's gonna be 2 kills and a tower for the Camelot Kings.
Kings with the punch back after the Glads on that huge Pyro fight. Jake is not tanky enough to dash taunt and not get punished. That Chronos Pendant allows more dash taunts, but it doesn't not allow him to live when he is dash taunting. And now we're about to see the starter item finished for Jake once in one more level. And this isn't the massive survivability spike of a Sentinels. This is a team fight, play around me, I'll keep you guys alive, but I'm not going to be keeping myself alive as much. Jake will not be able to dash taunt, probably until his next finished item after a starter, but that does not stop the Glads from looking to pull this Fire Giant, force over the Kings.
Teleport comes through, the Gladiators have all 5 here. Meanwhile, Yarkor still on the way, just went back to base. Picked up his dominance to now join the team for a moment. Feel the Gladiators trying to go towards that pull, or maybe see if they can grab anybody caught out of position. But Camelot Kings, a bit wise this one. They stopped the Fire Giant at the very least, but the Gladiators have had so much more confidence around these objectives, pulling Gold Furies even in the face of the Kings, being able to confirm those ones, and now a Fire Giant as well.
And the one thing the Glads don't want to fall into is stop farming. You have 3 19s right now, hitting those 20 spikes, and actually we have the first level 20 is Variety. After that 0-3 start, he is now 5-3, and he finishes his starter faster than anyone else in the lobby. But the Gladiators need to keep their mind on farming. That is still the most important thing. This game is too close to officially force something around fire, so make sure you're still getting farmed. That's kind of a trap a lot of the lower end teams fall into around these Fire Giants, is they just keep fighting and perma-fight around it instead of farming. So just keep farming, hit those level 20s, and get your spikes.
Third beacon now capped, which means that we will have the Titans unleash here shortly. Camelot Kings, the team to grab that last little bit. One small interaction, at least I saw, around those oracles was Jake goes in for the taunt against Yarkor, and then he walks behind the Harpies, so Yarkor is actually able to steal both oracles just from that taunt alone. Nice vision, at least on that side. Now for the Camelot Kings, they're the ones who are grouping up around fire. Titans will march up mid, so it's not like it's too far away for any kind of fight around this objective play. The Gladiators all healthy. Jake the only one missing any real health from his team.
So
Variety
much poke.
is able to just get this free poke. Such heavy cooldown investment to this Rise. I mean, he just used the 1-2 combo, and it's already right back up once more.
And now we're going to see Variety and Quig actually kiss together, and this is just going to be Variety trying to harass, get as much damage off. And if he does get all in, he has the Aphrodite to buy him time. And while they are sitting up there zoning, The Kings, Yarkor, and Big Man confirm the Pyro. They now have the 1 bomb for them, 1 bomb for Kirmi. Variety takes a little bit of damage. Shouldn't be too worried. Sustain up. They're still getting out-traded, which is always the worry.
You have the Titans now flashing in mid. The Kings, they can use this to their advantage. Yarkor, they goes in with the ultimate, gets a lot of damage. Jake is low, and he doesn't have a great option now. He does manage to get the task just in time. And Jangaru transforms into the Wukong to get up into the somersault cloud. Now, the Kings have the Titan pushing forward for themselves. They can head straight over to Fire Giant.
A lot of ult used by the Kings there, but they're just walking over to this and just pulling it instantly. Kana TP's behind. Could be a little risky for them.
Fire Giant not even down to half a set. An investment towards Kana against the ultimate with Jake to try and play his backup. Quick gets knocked up by the Fire Giant as the double taunt in by Jake. Quick down to use the ultimate. Captain Twig in the sky dives into the backline on top of Snoopy. One more shot, and Captain Twig takes one before he goes down. Now Jangaru very low, gets the invis, and manages to sneak past them both. Quig and Variety miss out on their shots to kill the mid, and instead it's over towards Kana. Collapse onto the solo lane. The Camelot Kings, they pick up 2.
And so much value Quig is getting on these Aphrodite ults. He is soaking thousands and thousands of damage every time he presses his ult button, and he's surviving his backline very, very easily. Twig, even though he gets taken down, he gets a ton of damage off, a lot of pressure put onto the Glad's backline. And the Kings with 4 alive confirm the Fire Giant. 4 strong, Gold Fury up. Also, not a ton of towers up, but usually you play towards duo side anyway when you get this Fire Giant. So expect the Kings to push down duo and look for this Gold Fury.
Gladiators head over to Primal. They'll be the ones to start this up instead. Camelot Kings all going back to base after their long-winded fight around that Fire Giant just prior. So they get fire, but will lose out on at least the Fury in response. So a 2-for-1 trade, objectives, 1 for each one. Now let's see what the Camelot Kings can do with their first real lead of the game. This whole first half was started up by the Gilded Gladiators. Is 2,500 in their favor. Drops back down to about that 0 point, as you can see, around that 18-minute mark. Small little jump back up for the Gladiators off a couple of more picks, but now, for the first time this game, it's the Camelot Kings in control.
And we've seen how the Glads want to play their comp. It's Jake dash taunting. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a ton of survivability. Jangaru actually eats the ult, forced into the bat out of hell, using the Changeling ultimate. That is a long cooldown that, I mean, happily you're trading the Hachiman ult for, especially as such a safe character, Aphrodite in the backline. Even harder defense now for the Gladiators if the Kings want to push this fast. But the ult will come up eventually, so it's something where the timing matters.
Camelot Kings will just waltz right into the tier 2 tower, take that one down. Will it go for the fighter on the Phoenix, or they kind of spread across the map, go towards other spots? It seems that the left side Phoenix will be their next interest target. Gladiators now have to group up as 5 to defend the full 5 of the Kings. It's not often, even at this stage again, that we see a full 10-man group around a Phoenix when other ones are still up. But the Camelot Kings have their confidence around this Phoenix. Poke damage from BMT. Taunt from Awesome Jake. Kick the fight off. Let's listen into the Camelot Kings for their team fight. Good team fight back from the Camelot Kings. They punish. I should say the Gladiators punish the Kings, keep themselves pushed back, and make sure to hold on to their Phoenix. A bit of a great engage there more than anything by Awesome Jake to kick the fight off. A dash taunt in, pulls a couple of relics right away, and the Gladiators, they just collapse right in, Bobby.
And we were talking about the ult, Hachiman trade for Morgan ult, the Morgan, I guess I should specify. We thought it was going to be a good trade. Unfortunately, Yarkor actually gets punished for not having ult, and they don't even need Jangaru's damage or his ultimate to actually win that fight. So that trade seemed good, but Yarkor gets punished because of it. The Glads dive deep very well. And to highlight why that fight goes so bad, Jake gets a dash 3-man taunt. That can't happen. That is Athena's one strength, is dash taunting, and it's a big taunt. And Kana just walks up and steals Pyro in front of all of them. Another bomb for the Gilded Gladiators. Kana's now got one, Kirmi's got one. But if the Kings want to win these fights, they cannot get 3-man taunted by Jake.
Giving that shutdown bonus. Remember, Variety started off 0-3 when 5 kills up. Response back from the Kings. Captain Twig gets 2 with the ultimate. And beats from a couple of them. Snoopy low, damage from Variety and from BMT. Not quite enough to take one down, and Jake managed to get out as well. The ultimate channel was just in time to keep him alive, and Kana in the bird will be able to fly away from the danger of the Kings. Variety's not quite done just yet. Thunder crashed in. Didn't quite get the damage he was hoping for. The Gladiators, with their push back, managed to also stay alive on their push.
And huge engage there by Twig, pulling double relics on Snoopy and one relic in Jangaru, getting that beads. Now it's Gold Fury spawning up before this Fire Giant. There's only 2 sitting on Gold Fury's side for the Kings, but the Glads still have to be very worried walking up here. Both their backliners are very susceptible to getting killed, but they don't know that only 2 people are here.
If the Gilded Gladiators can find maybe a pick, it should make their siege so much easier. Up against the Camelot Kings. Strong defense for the Gladiators around left side Phoenix. Now over towards Oni Fury, which has just spawned back in. Last time the Oni Fury was up, is the Kings who grabbed it. Captain Twig won't let this one go free, though it does have a match as to get past the first bit of CC from Jake, but doesn't have it for the rest after. Gladiators do get the Oni Fury, and now Captain Twig, without that Magi, is not as confident to step up, even with Quig next to him.
And Yarkor still had no relics from that previous fight, so King's playing it a little bit safer also. Jake dash taunts on the 2-man.
On Variety, no beads, and his health bar depleting quickly. The Camelot Kings in a bit of danger during that fight. And the Gilded Gladiators, as we wait with bated breath just to see the outcome of the fight in this one. Inbound, this is starting out much better now for the Gilded Gladiators. That defense around the Phoenix has really kind of revitalized this team for the fights.
And it's coming down to this Kings comp is just playing 2 grouped at this point. Yes, you need to say grouped as a team fighting comp, but 3-man taunts, 2-man taunts, and even in that last one, it wasn't the entire 5-man grouping. It was 2 grouping here, 3 grouping here, and the 2 get engaged on, and a ton of damage is put out there. The Kings have to play around their poke, they have to play around their sustain, and the Glads want to play around their all-in.
Yeah, I mean, when you're fighting into an Aphrodite style of comp, I mean, for the Gilded Gladiators, they can't so much go for the poke that you kind of been mentioning. The Kings, they're fine with it. They say, okay, here's a couple of abilities here, here's a couple of abilities there. No big deal. Now you've got to go back to base because you don't have an Aphrodite. Camelot Kings are able to keep themselves alive with their sustain. Gilded Gladiators are really kind of going off of Jake's initiations, which have been really strong this game. This Athena is working so well for the Gilded Gladiators. So we are going to take ourselves a quick little break to resolve any of the issues that are maybe going on right now. So we'll take it to a break. We'll be right back.
Apologies for the technical difficulties there. What ended up happening, it was a crash of that instance of the game, so a complete wipeout of what was going on. Wasn't a spectator thing. The game did end, or crash, I suppose. So we've agreed to a full remake of that game. Same picks and bans, same players on both sides, of course.
No roster swaps.
No roster swaps
right.
in between this one, but will just be a remake of game number 1 with the same picks and bans. So we're hopping back on the desk, and we get to do a little bit of analysis on points that we did not have before, because we just got to see, 20-some minutes of these guys going back and forth, and ended up being pretty even. Obviously, nothing close to an auto-win situation, but now both teams have a lot to adapt to.
Yeah, I think namely adaptation from the Camelot Kings throughout the early game. We only really got to see the majority of the early game. We were just starting to transition to that true 5-on-5 team fight phase. And adaptations out of the Soul lane as well. There was a lot of Sky Gods running at Variety throughout the entirety of that match. I don't know how you're going to alleviate that pressure, either by putting it on the other side of the map or by actually grouping up and trying to make sure that Variety has himself a better time, because that was the entirety of what was going well for the Gilded Gladiators. A lot of early game pressure, slight lead, but never really extending past that 3,000 mark. If the Gladiators can run back the exact same style and then somehow grab an objective alongside it or knock down a tower, that's one way to solidify it, because what I was seeing there was a Camelot Kings that was starting to fight back into a deficit. And that's not exactly what you want to see, especially considering what we had talked about on the initial desk and what the casters are bringing up. That was a great composition from the Gladiators at initiating fights. You'd think they have a much easier time on the 5-on-5. Didn't quite look like it.
Yeah, I mean, if Variety didn't have to fight from a 2-level deficit to start, that might be a little bit better. Luckily, we don't have to wait very long to get right back into game number 1 with the casters.
That's right. Game number 1, part 2 now between the Gladiators and the Camelot Kings. It's J-Mac, it's Inbound, and Doug back to bring you guys the repeat, I should say, for game number 1. Again, apologies for what happened with the crash, something that we weren't able to avoid. We weren't able to get us back into that same exact point. So now we're going to run it back one more time, Bobby, and I think kind of the big instance and the big change-ups here need to be made between some of the players. I think Desk highlights it well. Variety needs to get a little bit more safety, a little bit more help on his side. Going down 0-3, never a great start for it. But at least one thing that you've now kind of thrown the point towards, and something that we noticed immediately, is some of the change-ups in the builds. Awesome Jake not going for the Benevolence this time, starting out War Flag to mimic that of Quig.
And I like it. It allows them to play around the War Flag. And before I even touch on what the finished starter he's going to be on, because Jake is one of the few supports that actually still goes Spartan Flag sometimes, the power and the attack speed one. Personally, I think War Banner's a lot better. I think it makes more sense. I think it's better overall in an entire 5v5 composition. But I don't want to say there's no chance he'll go, or he won't go Spartan Flag. But if he does go War Banner, it allows the Glads to fight around him easier, and it allows him to be tankier on that dash taunt, which, when we saw the Kings start to fight back, it was Jake dying in a lot of those fights. Also, on the opposite side, the Kings, Big Man switching up his build a little bit. Instead of that Chronos Pendant, he will be going into the Book of Thoth. Less harass, less cooldown kind of tossing, and I like that he has a lot more power in his build this time, because they don't really need harass. They don't need more poke, more abilities tossed out. They already have that from the Raijin, giving them some, full damage mid laner that has possible one-shot potential when he's getting dove, I think always will feel a lot better.
Getting a little bit more burst as opposed to small little spurts of damage from your mid laner. And BMT was starting to really hit his stride before then, and I think it's important to really highlight kind of where we were in the state of last game when the instance did occur. I mean, it was starting out, Quig falling low. This was similar to the previous moment. Yarkor able to choose back up away. Snoopy waiting, but doesn't get the stellar burst towards Quig this time. But again, I think it's important to kind of at least know where we were previously in the game. I mean, it was dead even, just about maybe 1,000 gold up for the Gladiators going in, and the Gladiators starting up that previous team fight. A strong defense at the left side, Phoenix. Even with the Camelot Kings fighting into the deficit, the Gilded Gladiators were still willing to take these fights. They were still willing to have these good sieges. You do see Kirmi starting to rotate over towards Variety. But he's been in this position before. Variety will be able to safely get under the tower, a bit too far back for Kirmi and Kana to go for the dive.
And this first couple minutes is playing out nearly identical to the first couple minutes of the last game. It was Quig almost dying at level 2, Variety getting poked down super low in solo, level 2 also, but nothing entirely happens. Quig heals up a little bit, and then they start actually winning out on this laning phase. Variety, though, continues getting bullied over in solo lane, and he does end up dying a couple times. And as the desk highlighted, if you're the Kings, you need to give Variety some help. Whether it's Twig sitting over there just to give him a little bit of damage, a little bit of survivability and damage to kind of keep him alive, or if it's, you know, just getting him vision over there so he can react a little bit quicker. That's the highlight portion for the Kings. Something needs to happen with Variety so he's not 0-3.
You don't want to go down 0-3 again. It was a good turnaround comeback there from Variety. Starts out 0-3, goes up 5-3 before he's eventually shut down by the Gladiators, so good response and a good bounce back from him. But not really wanting to fight into a deficit. It's not something that you want to do as a Raijin, especially one that's going towards this tankier style. Sure, you keep alive, you keep a little bit healthier, but having that natural scaling goes a long way. Blue buff.
Close.
Attempted steal by Variety, but that third beat of the drum, just a bit slow. Kirmi goes in with the blink. Don't think he realized Captain Twig's nearby. The sun wasn't there either. Kirmi still fighting into the 2v1, but now he's got Kana nearby. Kana has the ultimate. Captain Twig will be the first one down this time. It's the Gilded Gladiators on the board first once more.
Well, at least this time it wasn't Variety that died first. It was Twig instead. Twig actually kind of died.
Aegis? Not enough.
Well, at least Variety's not 0-3 yet,
Yeah.
so it's only one death. As long as he doesn't get 2 more, we're in a better spot than last time. But a little bit of a funky kind of play overall by the Kings there. Variety walks up. No Twig was even close. He walks up, tries to steal blue buff. Unfortunately, he dashes away, and then Kirmi sees the opening, blinks in, gets a ton of damage off, and with the follow-up from Kana, he's able to pick up that first blood, and then he sticks around. Variety plays up, and he gets another kill onto Variety, giving them that kind of nice little advantage, and Jingaru forced to ult out also from mid.
Goes all the way back. Rejoins Kieran to make sure they can get the farm at the speed and the red buff for now. Awesome Jake will go back to base. Should have his prophetic cloak ready to build up and start getting stacks on that one. Try and get that tankiness over-afforded to the rest of his team, but it's not only that. I think it also plays into that Captain Twig around that blue buff. Misses the stun, doesn't really get the dash damage that he was hoping for. Still just a bit too tanky for Kana even this early in the game. That extra little bit of health from that cudgel keeping him alive, and just also the threat of being a warrior over there. So kind of questionable decisions by the Camelot Kings. That's the Gilded Gladiators, not just that first blood kill for Kiri, but one for Kana as well, being able to take down his lane opponent. And it's now giving the Gilded Gladiators a nice comfortable 1,000 goldie here, just under 5 minutes.
I'm actually curious, thinking about Variety's build, maybe there was an opportunity to just rush this breastplate because he's getting dove by 2 physicals a lot of the time, and even if Athena comes over, that's not damage you're really worried about. Yes, sustain might be a little bit more of a problem, but the damage and like the dive potential is just not really there as much with that. Don't know entirely how that would lead to his build being different. Maybe he could work in an E-Staff instead of this Pythags, or just Pythag second, but it was an opportunity to be had. He does end up taking it, goes for the Pythags again. Same opportunity posed for the Glads last game. This game, 0-1 Variety. Pretty easy God to dive. Blue buff is going to be spawning now. I expect the Glads to be playing over that side a lot.
See an invade from the Camelot Kings. Quig and Yark trying to take this purple away. Supernova from Snoopy. That's not even enough to confirm it. Quig and Yark are able to sneak in a couple of in-hands to be able to steal that one away. Blue buff invade is successful for the Kings, and it'll be a dive in on top of Variety. It's happening once more. It doesn't matter how many times you're running back. Kirmi and Kana team up and put him down 0-2.
And it's just such an impossible dive for Variety to play against. Both gods banish themselves from the field and still do at least some semblance of damage. Wukong in the form of the ult. Snoopy actually getting all in a little bit here. Jake ults him. Yark or Quig will be chasing out.
Snoopy will get to the Samurai, gonna turn back and fight. Captain Twig, though, on the way from the tree, will land right on top of it with Jingaru here. It's not gonna be enough to keep Snoopy alive, but it might be enough to make sure that Jake can still find a bailout plan. Double dash away from the Athenas, the Gladiators, only losing their Hunter this time.
And Snoopy, no mana, no real fight back potential. I think even if the Athena ult gets there faster and Snoopy has some mana, still not going to be a fight that's in favor of them. Just really good 2v2 trading by Yarkor, by Quig. And 3-1 lead, almost playing out the exact same as the first game. It was 4-0, I guess. The Kings get this first kill back a little bit quicker. Variety also only has those 2 deaths. but the Glads still have the advantage of how far Kana's ahead in this lane and how far Kirmi's actually still ahead in the jungle.
I think it is important to at least kind of highlight a bit of what Mifflin was asking for on the desk, which was if Variety is going to be taking so much pressure on the Camelot Kings side, there needs to be an answer maybe on the opposite end of the map. Camelot Kings did just that. Say, okay, Variety's getting dove over in solo, not much we can do to help him out. Instead, see if they can get a pick on a Snoopy or Jake. They do get that kill on Snoopy. Good steal from Variety, does manage to get that cooldown buff away. And every little bit helps. Starting to fall behind, 9 versus 7 in the immediate wave to wave. So a 2-level lead for the Gilded Gladiators solo lane. And really I think more than anything for the Gladiators, the much needed confidence boost that they needed for him. Dive in onto Variety again, goes up into the ultimate. Kirmi and Kana diving in, crashed by Kana, not quite enough, needs some help, does take the tower down, and the Aegis only buys an extra second, but maybe that's just the second that they needed. Now an ultimate in from Awesome Jake. Kirmi up to the sky, Captain Twig and BMT out, but Kirmi and Jake are gonna go right back in, taunt them in just a couple of seconds for Jake. Captain Twig gets to the sky, Big Man tings with his ultimate, keeps the kill of the Gladiators back, but man, you gotta keep eyes on the Gladiators because it seems that every time that a fight seems like it could go well for the Kings, another one of the Gladiators shows up.
And that's that global presence of the Gladiators. They used it really well the first game. This game, they're using it just the same, putting a lot of pressure into that solo lane. And we wanted to see Variety avoid that 0-3 start that he had previously. Unfortunately, it's going to be happening again. Variety 0-3. The bright side is, this is basically the exact same setup the Kings had, and they had that comeback potential. But now looking at it from the Glad side, for them to now push their lead, they need to start pressuring the other side of the map, getting Snoopy also a lead. They're grouping already around this gold Fury, and Quig's going to be walking up to this gold.
Walks up, taunt from Jake, gets an ultimate immediately. Jangaro waits out, doesn't get the stun just yet. The back off is there, but with 4 surrounding the Aphrodite, not much chance Quig has for life this time. Jangaro, credit for the kill, his first one of the game. The Gilded Gladiators head towards Gold Fury. Yarkor's around the corner. He's got a lot of damage on this Hachiman, even Captain Twig on the way with the rat. Gold Fury's only at half. It will be a turn and burn to Yark instead. Jangaru sneaks around, gets the stun, gets the transformation into the Camazot's Captain Twig. Nearly takes down Kirmi. The Gold Fury helps him out just a bit. And Captain Twig able to sneak away for the time, but Snoopy puts up a little too far, trying to go for the kill in the chase after. It's Yarkor taking down Snoopy, 2 dead on the Gladiator's side. Kana steals the speed buff away, but should have the ultimate to get out if things get too dicey.
And the Glads look for the really clean pick on the Quig. Unfortunately, instead of opting to go back to their lanes to farm, both waves go under tower and they force that Gold Fury. And they just don't have that consistent damage at this point with their comp to actually kill that Gold Fury fast enough. The Kings are able to get there. Gold Fury's done a number on the Glads at that point, and the Kings are able to kind of clean up the kills. And now they're also taking down the tier 1 tower. The Kings around this 10-minute mark, they start popping off. This is like the time where they're like, okay, let's put our heads on straight, let's start playing some good Smite, and they do.
I mean, we're up 2,000 gold for the Gladiators going into that Fury. All back down to essentially nothing, only about 400 or 500 now up for the Gladiators after the 2 kills that went the King's way, and the stop of that objective, plus the aforementioned tier 1 tower, goes the way of the Kings. And I mean, that was similar to what we saw last game when the Kings were able to find their first couple of picks. It was followed by tier 1 tower, kind of knock things down. The only real big problem right now for the Kings is they've got to fight with this deficit for Variety. Blue buff was secured for the Kings, so silver linings where they lie. Captain Twig, though, not in a great spot for himself. Can't get up into the tree in time. It's a kill for Kirmi. Variety at half HP, and with the Athena on the way, and then the confident dive towards this Raijin. 0-3 is not enough. Let's make it 0-4. The Camelot King solo laner falls once more. The Gladiators with 2 more kills.
And the Glad saw pressure in game 1. In this game, they're putting even more pressure out into that solo lane. Variety, 0-3 last game, started to pick it back up a little bit, rotated a bit, started making some good plays. Fortunately, 0-4 this game. 1,500 gold lead for the Glads, even after that Gold Fury misplay by them. I think the bright spot for both of these teams comes on the opposite side of the map. You look at the Kings, Yarkor's level 12. Snoopy actually just hit level 11, and Yarkor's actually hit 13 soon. So this is almost a level and a half lead over here. Quig, Big Man actually playing up a little bit here. Nope. Oh, Jangaro has ult, so it's a little risky.
Twig Can't spot him out. Jangaru once again on this Morgan. Sneaks past a couple of the Camelot Kings. Captain Twig will go in. Does get the stun. And is being turned back. Camelot Kings have got to use their Aphrodite ult to stay alive. Jangaru transforms over the wall. Captain Twig is gone. Snoopy, credit for the kill. Tries to keep himself in this game. The Camelot Kings started off the fight great, but the immediate turn back around. Jangaru escaping. It's all good here for the Gilded Gladiators.
And Twig's just a little bit too far behind to not do enough damage. Actually, look at it collapse onto Jake. Jake takes a little bit of damage.
Double taunt from Jake to start this fight back, though, for the Camelot Kings nearby. They're fairly healthy. Meanwhile, the Gladiators are all low in this one. With Raiju bouncing around, they can't stick through this one. Variety up into the Taiko drums, goes towards Kirmi, needs one more shot of damage, and he's got it. Will not stay 0-4 for long. One kill for the solo, but immediately returned back by a kill from his lane opponent, Kana. And now 4-0 himself in this game. The Gilded Gladiators, though, will not get this beacon. The first one will go to the Camelot Kings, but a back-and-forth fight around that beacon.
And Kana 4-0-2, level 14. The Glads need to keep playing around Kana. Kana is so strong in these fights. He's going to do a lot of damage, have a lot of survivability. And he's one of the few gods on the Glad side that can force out the Aphrodite ult without investing kind of too much. Just a little bit of damage onto a backliner, some CC, and Quig might be forced into using that, allowing Kirmi or Snoopy, Jangaru, whoever it is close enough to follow up to actually kill. Because so far in this game, Quig's had some huge ultimates the same. Actually soaking up a lot of damage, giving that CC immunity. Quig is kind of the important part of this King's comp, and the Glads need to shut him down either through forcing out the ult or just getting a lot of damage out.
Dives in. Kirmi's right behind, but now Captain Twig on the way. Variety could buy a bit of time, uses the CC beats to get Kirmi at bay, but Captain Twig's there a little too shy of the damage. And it will be both teams getting out of this one, most importantly for Variety, maintaining his life, even despite the fact that his relic was downtime. Didn't have Aegis going into that fight and didn't even have a second relic just yet. Purification beads now bought for the solo laner. Surviving, the most important thing for Variety in these couple of fights. So now see a collapse to Quig and Captain Twig. A double taunt from Jake once more. Gets the ultimate out early from Quig. Does the damage there? Yes, it is. Jangaru and Kana team up over the wall with the damage from the Dark Omen, and the Cudgel takes him down, and it's straight to the Gold Fury for the Glads.
And now level 14 Kana not leveled up in a little bit, but Jangaru level 15. The Glads comp is starting to pop off. These are the points where they need to start pushing their lead, getting those towers. We have every tower except the one solo lane tower up for the Glads. And you look at the opposite side, the Kings have actually forced down more towers with only 4 kills. We need to see the Glads start pushing this Pyro, going for these towers, start actually pushing their lead. We need actual real gold value lead for the Glads to actually, oh my goodness, to actually capitalize. Yarkor takes the taunt, takes a ton of damage, doesn't use a relic there, and lives.
Baffling that Yarkor was willing to hold on to both of those relics. I mean, even with Quig nearby, that is a risky call. Drops down to sub 100 HP. Now a pull of the Pyromancer. Variety's here. Goes up to Raiju, connects onto Kana. Taunt will pull the beads away. But now that's the call for Kirmi and Kana to dive in once more. Variety uses the Aegis. Now he's only got ultimate to stay alive. Quig does have his ult. Keep things up. Transformation from Jangaru to go into the bat out of hell. Variety is down. Kana, credit for the kill, puts him on a rampage. The Gilded Gladiators will now have to deal with Captain Twig, who crashes into the middle of all of them. But it's Camelot King still sticking around Pyro.
And Jake is actually so low here. They actually have the health value lead the Kings do here. Jake is super low. Kirmi behind. Glad to confirm the Pyromancer. Kirmi goes up into the air. Kana with the nice peel out, and it looks like that is all she wrote. Pyro confirmed. Joker actually ults in.
Twig gets a big stun onto 2, and it manages to take down Snoopy. But the Gilded Gladiators are able to get everybody else out during this fight. Only losing Snoopy and playing with such low health bars to do that. That was a very dangerous stick around for the Gladiators. Maybe fortunate that Snoopy's the only one who goes down there.
Fortunate indeed. I mean, Jake was sitting at 100 health minimum that entire time. Kana also got super low. They do get the Pyromancer, which is a positive, but this King's comp is still just delaying this game. 2,000 gold lead for the Glads, sitting at 16 minutes. It's not a big enough lead for the Gladiators and what their comp wants to do for them to be comfortable right now. They have to continue pushing this, and the Kings on the opposite side, this is the kind of game that they want. They're not expecting to win the early game. That mid game, that late game poke that they're going to be having is going to be very hard for the Glads to match up with.
Gladiators Starting to deal with some of the farm inside the jungle. Fury's still a couple minutes from coming back up. Pyromancer actually did manage to get stolen away by the Gladiators during all of that. And this 2-level deficit continues to remain at that bar for the solo laners. Kana walks in the jungle just to wrap back around to get more damage towards Variety. Never mind. Says the wave might be a bit more important at this point. A 1-6 Raijin Variety has just been the complete target for the Gilded Gladiators. Sure, a couple of kills have come towards other people, but it's always been starting up on these solo lane fights, whether it be Captain Twig having to come to bail Variety out, Quig having to rotate over and save that ultimate for him. It's been target this Raijin, keep him as down as we can. The Gilded Gladiators have done a good job of that now, but it's not quite the lead that you would expect, given that it's 6 deaths on this Raijin.
Not as big as you would expect, and I think it's just really good team fighting by the Kings here. Being grouped on this beacon before it spawns. Now this is the worry. Do not be too grouped where Jake is going to get a 3-man taunt here.
Won't get 3, just gets the 1. It's on to Variety. Ultimate from Quig. Because no beads or Aegis were available for Variety. Still 10 seconds until both of them are back up for him. Jake gets a triple taunt. Kirby dies in with a jump, and now caught up to the backline. Stuns only Quig. They know the Aperalt is down, but it's being punished instantly. Jenkaru falls down to Yarkor. Kana up on the cloud, and Kirby in the sky. Kana tries to bail himself out, but he gets speared out of the Ox form, and has to turn and burn back the Camelot Kings. And Big Man Tings has shut him down.
And that is worst case scenario for the Gladiators. They get the 3-man taunt, and Jengaru tries to get into the fight invis. Unfortunately gets popped, no beads, CC'd, shut down before anything else happens. King's not pulling the Fire Giant.
Fire Giant started up. Jake, his best effort is a dash taunt to steal. Snoopy behind him, has access to Supernova. Can't even get into this fight. Raichu's starting to poke him out. Captain Twig finds a stun onto Snoopy. Keeps him out, but Quig, he's falling low. He might die. The damage of the Fire Giant. They've got to kill him a little bit faster, and they do so. Ultimate there keeps him alive. Camelot Kings with fire on all 5.
Not worried for a second. He wasn't even that low. He still had ultimate. But he was playing with fire.
You gotta play it up a little bit.
Yeah, he was playing with fire a little bit. Level 14 for Quig, level 14 for Jake. Looks to be the first starters confirmed. Curious to see if maybe the Kings or the Glads look to farm up a little bit. Mostly the Kings see to farm up a little bit before actually looking to push. Trying to get that War Flag on Quig. Fire Giant on 5. Last fight. No relics really used by the Glads. It was just the Blink by Kana and the Horrific by Jake. So they still have everything available, but they still have to fight into 5 strong Fire Giant members. Quig hitting that level 15. Will we see them look to push? Will Quig back up to get that starter? Maybe Gold Fury also. A lot of farm is up. Pyro's now spawning also.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of time before we do see those starters looked at. Only a few 100 gold in pocket for Quig, so still needs about 800 before he can level that one up. A little bit closer for Jake. He's only sitting about 400 away from being able to upgrade, so starter advantage might be in favor of at least the Gilded Gladiators' support this time, but no level 20s yet on the side of the Camelot Kings means that none of their big hitters, namely Big Man Tings or Captain Twig, are able to get that damage online just yet. Primal Fury pulled by the Gladiators. Pyromancer taken by the Camelot Kings. With how many were over on the right-hand side, the Kings will give up Primal. Not the worst objective to trade out for the Pyromancer. The Camelot Kings happy to be able to keep themselves afloat in this game.
And the Kings are actually even ahead in this game, but it seems like the Glads are the ones making the plays. They see them walk over to that Pyro. The Glads say, let's push down left. Let's get this tier 1. Let's get this Primal Fury. This is a Fire Giants Kings comp. 3 strong here with Fire. This is a 4v3 here. Jake looks to dash taunt.
Double taunt. Gets ultimate from Quig. Beats from Yarkor and an ultimate in response. Kirmi sitting at half HP and no pools of blood to be able to soak back up and get a little bit of that health back. So Kirmi gonna have to play a little bit more defensively. Again, every bit of poke the Kings throw the Gladiators' way sticks true. Meanwhile, when the Glads go for their poke, they're able to have an Aphrodite keep healing up. And all the while, Camelot Kings not worried at all about it. This dive in, that's pushed by the Glads. As Captain Twig and Variety stuck to the right side. They cleared out anything that was up in the jungle and took down both towers.
Incredibly awkward play there by the Glads after a good play to get the tier 1 in the Primal. Kana, instead of going right to kind of keep that pushed out, TP's left, but the rest of the team is so low that they have no real threat on that tower. So Kana TP's over, and then they end up losing the tier 2 and right. Awkward play by the Glads. Obviously not on the same page. And now the Kings looking to push down middle.
Jake only gets the taunt on a Variety, and now is immediately burned back down. Quig, credit for that kill. Now Snoopy has already used his Aegis and the Saporate to get back to the Phoenix. 5 versus 4. Eyes on Kirmi and Kana though, as they're wrapping around the backside of this fight. Captain Twig heads through, but 1 minion is all you need, especially when you got a Runic Bomb in pocket. Middle Phoenix gone in an instant. Kirmi trying to 1v1 Captain Twig, but it's not about to be a 1v1 any longer. BMT wrapping back around with the rest of the squad. It's 3 on the right side for the Camelot Kings, or for the Gladiators to try and defend. Now 5 strong in the Camelot Kings. They won't continue their push. For now, it'll be heading back to base to reset.
And Jake looking for the fight outside of the tower, and it seems like the entire Glad comp, none of them were ready for the dash taunt. Jake goes in, tries to ult out, takes a little bit too much damage, unable to get the ultimate off. We need to see this Glad's team start to get on the same page. They've made a lot of good plays in the early game. The mid game was a little iffy, but some strong fights. But these last few minutes, bar that, you know, Primal and the tier 1 trade for Pyro, it's been just all Kings, and the Kings have been on the same page. The Glads have not. We have got to see whether it's a comms issue or just like a team fight issue where they're just not confident in each other. They need to get on the same page.
The Gladiators, they've got the early nailed down. They figured out exactly what they want to do with this composition for the first 10 or so minutes, but now it's been that post 10 minutes where they've been finding that struggle where Variety's able to find a kill to kind of come back in. Kana, even with the massive lead that he has, I mean, we look down the board, it's a 5-1-3 Wukong and a 1-6-3 Raijin, and it's the Raijin, again, outpacing the Gladiators. The Camelot Kings, I mean, inbound, this feels like we're legitimately just back a whole season where all of Season 8 and 9 we're saying, Camelot Kings, they're probably going to lose early, but they're just going to out-team fight later. They're just out-farming, even despite the fact that Variety has been the #1 target of the Gladiators. He's level 21st again.
I cannot believe that he is 1-6 and Kana's 5-1 and he hits level 21st. The Glads have actually had their entire, all their starters, every single one of them except Jake, not finished, and on the opposite side, the Kings have every single starter item finished. Huge lead for the Kings here, which is a lot bigger than it seems.
Fire down to a quarter. It's just Jake here to try and defend against this one. Jengar not one to step up. The Kings, for the moment, they do give up the fire, but head right back to it. The ring is up once more. Variety steps in, and the Gladiators are just going to have to give this one away. Fire Giant #2 of the game to the Camelot Kings once more. Primal Fury is back up if the Gladiators want to go for some objective, but they might have to head straight back to base to defend. It's another Pyromancer. We saw what happened in the mid-Phoenix when that first Runic Bomb got used. Now the Camelot Kings 5 strong, then go ahead and cap the 3rd beacon, which could make things interesting around this next fight.
Interesting indeed. Now the Kings have this Fire Giant. They have the middle Phoenix already down. They've captured this 3rd beacon. Now left lane, the dual lane, the most important lane that you want to get the Phoenix on, the Titans will be pushing down. And when you have this Fire Giant and you have a lane already, you know, finished off, you're going to have fire minions pouring down middle. It makes this left siege nearly guaranteed with this fire, or with the Titan. It is so hard to fight in the pressure, into the pressure that the Kings will have onto the map. Even if Variety's taking half his health here in that tower poke, Quick's just going to heal him up. This is a near impossible, you know, scenario for the Glads to be in. They have to look for an engage maybe a little earlier, but last time we saw it, Jake went in by himself and he was just exploded.
But in this exact same situation before, this is where the Guild of Gladiators were able to mount their comeback, to stop the momentum of the Kings, to be able to fight back, to keep up their push. Kirmi down to a quarter is not a great start for this fight. It's a taunt in by Awesome Jake as they try and defend up against their Phoenix. Let's take a listen in with the Gladiators. kryptonite of the Camelot Kings inbound seems to be this left Phoenix. The fight started off great for the Kings. They were able to push Kirby back to base. They got low health bars on the side of the Gladiators. But again, it starts up with another dash taunt from Jake. He finds two and gets the follow-up from Jingaru and Snoopy. The Gladiators defend their bird and take down 4 all the while. And by the way, their mid-Phoenix is back up now.
I am baffled at how powerful a spot the Kings were in, and they just kind of played it too, loose, too free, and expected not to get punished for it. If they play that just slightly slower, again, let's not get 3-man taunted at this Phoenix and we'll be fine. Instead, they get 3-man taunted, beads are forced, relics are forced, ults are forced, and there's no even pressure on the other parts of the map because Kirimi had already spent a little bit of time pushing out that mid-fire wave where there was only one more wave walking down, but it was sitting at the midway point. So Kirimi played around that really well. And then the Kings just didn't wait for the Titan. They had so much time for this Fire Giant, and they just didn't wait for it. Not enough patience by the Kings, and the Glads exploited it.
Now, we'll say, just kind of listening in to that listening from the Gladiators, it was very calm. It wasn't anything explosive. We hear other teams, they go in, they get the taunt, and you hear, go, 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 anything like that. It's just a walk up, hey, I can taunt these guys, taunted them in. Here's the follow-up from Jingaru. Here's Snoopy following up the autos. You hear small little comms. You hear Awesome Jake saying, I can get dove on by Captain Twig. I'm going to stay back. And then with 100 HP left, any other player might say, okay, well, I got 100 health. I can't stick around. Jake decides, you know what? What if I just dash taunt Yarkor, who has no relics, and you guys kill him? And the team followed up with him.
I think a big highlight there also is Kirimi with those comms. Confidence when he went in. He was saying, I'm diving the backline here. Jake said, okay, I'll ult you. They were all on the same page there. That's the comms that we need from the Gladiators for them to play these team fights very, very strong. Both 5-mans sitting around this Fire Giant, not up for another minute. Everything is kind of even right now. The only thing we're waiting on is for this Fire Giant to spawn. Yes, Pyro's up. Yes, Gold Fury's up soon. But those aren't the big plays. The big plays are this Fire Giant. This is going to be nearly an EFG when it spawns.
We've legitimately seen this song and dance from the Camelot Kings and the Gladiators in previous iteration, but now it's the Kings pushing up towards mid. Meanwhile, Kirimi is nowhere to be found. He's going to head back to base. The Kings, at the very least, get a mid-Phoenix. Has spotted out Kana, dives
so
in,
much damage.
Gets the ultimate away from him. He's up just in time. Captain Twig to the sky as well. Just missed out on the damage from the Gladiators. The taunt by Awesome Jake pulls both relics from Variety and Thunder Crash out. Kirimi now, he collapsed in, Scorching Blink to the back line, jumps on top of everybody and gets into the sky in time, but needs to follow up for the rest of the team. Jake finds the double taunt once more, both more relics, Variety is low, and Kana is once again back in this fight. Blinks in, Tiger form, finds nobody, Master's Will, nothing. It's a turn and burn right back to the Wukong. The Kings get the first kill.
And Yarkor is not taking any pressure right now. He is critting everyone and shredding everyone that comes across his screen. And it's not even Quig kissed with him, giving them this extra damage, this extra safety. Yarkor just has that confidence to know when to step up, know when to put damage out, and he is putting a lot of damage out indeed. 24,000, top of the board. Morgan next up. 5 strong on this Fire Giant. EFG getting very low.
Yeah, Fire Giant down to 10% health. The Camelot Kings confirm it. Now the Gilded Gladiators on the back foot. They lost their mid-Phoenix. Jingaru's going to push that one up, which leaves Kirimi all by himself. He doesn't have ult. He doesn't have jump. He doesn't have health. Variety with the Camelot Kings shut him down. And that's 15 seconds still without Kana. Right Phoenix exposed now. The Camelot Kings with Enhanced Fire Giant can walk right in and deal the last bit of damage to the bird. The Gilded Gladiators are going to be on a 4-man defense once Kana is back up. It's still 40 seconds for Kirimi. Camelot Kings playing this patient.
Unfortunately, actually, Jake was the dash on, ult out, little trade. Snoopy's actually getting hit by the taunt. 2 beads are forced, and actually a ton of damage on a big man.
Big man Ting's low. Jingaru wants the stealth kill, but he can't get to the backline in time. Captain Twig spots him out. Doesn't manage to get the bubble instead. It's a turn back. Jingaru solos Captain Twig all by himself. Jumps up into the tree, but he will not crash down on top of the Camelot Kings. All the momentum the Kings had on that last fight stopped by the 1-man army of Jingaru.
And that left Phoenix just keeps eluding the Kings. They cannot get it. Middle, easy. Right, easy. Fire Giant, easy. Left Phoenix, though, is not able to be taken down by them. Great play by Jengaru there, by the way. If he plays it even slightly differently, there's a chance that the Kings are able to, you know, waste enough time and actually get over to him and pick him up for the trade. He plays it correctly, waits for the time. Twig overcommits just slightly. Jengaru punishes him there. Kings still in a fine spot. You still have EFG on 4. You have right fire wave pushing down. You have mid fire wave pushing down. The upside for the Glads, though, you have plenty of globals to be able to push these out and have the safety to ult out. Kings also don't have Twig for another 5 seconds, and then he has to walk from base. But there's another 2 minutes on this Fire Giant.
Fire Giant still strong for the Camelot Kings. Captain Twig has just now come back to life. Yarkor goes in with the ultimate. Yarkor once more, he sneaks around to the back. He goes to BMT, nearly takes down the Morgan Le Fay, but Jengaru needs a little bit more. He doesn't have his Changeling ultimate. He's turned and burned by the Camelot Kings. A great attempt at a play, but it revealed their cards maybe a little too soon. 50 seconds on the mid laner before he respawns back for the Glads.
Left Phoenix being threatened here. Kirmi behind. Looks like they just have to give it up for free. Middle is getting pressured out a lot. Yarkor, one more auto should do it. Twig actually looking for the solo onto Kirmi. Kirmi takes a lot of damage, forced into the ultimate. Will they look to chase out, or will they look for the end here? It seems like Twig is going to be forced to chase out.
We'll jump in. Blink from Kirmi. Can he get the turnaround
No
kill?
way.
Kirmi
No way.
does get it. Another solo kill for a Gladiators against Twig. But now the Camelot Kings, they're the ones who have to try and fight back in. Minions starting to push into the Titan. The Camelot Kings will step forward. It's a 4 versus 4. 15 seconds till Jengaru is back. The Kings might want to respect the respawn from the mid laner. Jengaru has been able to get it done for the team. But for now, the Camelot Kings, they'll just grab mid-bird.
I think if Twig opts to play that just slightly, you know, safer, just not look for the fight, just look to stop the back or whatever, that's an end the Kings can do. But because he gets aggressive, and actually now getting aggressive as the Glads into the dash bomb, Kama goes into the air, you know, ult on top of him.
Now Jake finds the taunt. Kirby wrapping around, and keep your eyes on Jengaru as well. The entire team of the Gladiators keep pushing back. The Camelot Kings, they've broken into the base, but they just can't get to this throne room. The defense of the Gladiators, the turnaround capabilities that both Jengaru and Kirmi have shown so far are keeping this Gladiators team afloat.
And there's so much playmaking potential on both of these teams. Jengaru has one-shot potential on just about anyone. Same with Kirmi. Snoopy's got, you know, maybe not one-shot potential, but he's got a lot of consistent damage that's threatening. And it really comes down to a lot of these 1v1s. Who's going to be winning them? If the Glads win it, if you know, Jengaru finds the solo onto Twig, it's beneficial for them. These 5v5s aren't really happening unless it's just a really quick dash comp by Jake. So it's kind of coming down to these 1v1s and who's going to be winning them. So far, we've seen Twig actually lose a couple of them, and the Kings have had to slow down their siege because of it. Twig maybe slows it down a little bit, plays a little bit more defensively, plays to stop back for the most part, and I think we're talking about a different game here.
Yeah, I mean, all credit to Twig. He goes to that dive onto Kirmi, who's quarter HP. Captain Twig sitting 2/3, nearly 3/4. Doesn't get the landing spot, instead jumps right into a scorching blink by Kirmi, and then just a quick 1-2 return back and an in-hand. Kirmi's able to turn that fight around. Keep Gladiators alive. Right side Phoenix has respawned. Kana has got to be careful. There's 3 here. We'll use the Ox Transform, and then up to the Somersault Cloud, to the blue buff camp to try and stay alive. Twig is nearby. Kirmi wrapping around. The Gladiators, even with 2 Phoenixes down and no sign of Jengaru, at least for the fight. But remember, all it takes is press of a button and Jengaru can rejoin the fray. Kana tries to back in the jungle, and that's the last mistake he'll get to make. Big man Tings knocks him down. The Camelot Kings now advantage around fire.
It was such a good setup. They had pushed out all the fire waves and they had nothing else to worry about, but Kana lazy backs, gets killed. Jake now forced and getting gone on by Variety.
No ultimate for Jake this time. Jengaru tries to sneak into the back of it. He just got clipped by Yarkor. Kirmi swiping away at big man Tings. It's not enough for the mid laner just yet, but Snoopy Supernova takes him down. Now Jengaru up in the sky himself. Yarkor dashes away, and it's just crit after crit with him and Variety standing strong. The Camelot Kings winning back in the fight. Stun is good for Jengaru, and a turnaround damage is a double for the mid laner, but there's only 2 alive on the Gladiators, and make that 1. It's a triple kill from Variety. Says, I don't care if I start this game 1-6. It's all about how you finish it out. Awesome Jake, the last one alive. Go ahead and give them another one. Deicide for the Camelot Kings. Captain Twig with the last kill, and game 1 to the Kings.
Kana still going to be spawning not a ton of damage actually here for the Kings. It should still be an end, but it is going to be a little risky. Can Kana push out these waves enough? Variety dashes in, looks to kill this Titan.
We'll have to see if Kana can find the defense. Does manage to pop at least potion, goes in, drops the bomb a bit early. Stun from Captain Twig is good. Kana's damage not quite enough yet. Goes up for the cloud, cracks back down, but there's just a bit too much sustain from the Camelot Kings. Quig keeps them alive in game number 1 to the Camelot Kings.
And overall, a bunch of punches thrown by both teams in this game. We saw bright spots from both teams, but in the end, Variety goes back to the Ryzen again when the solo jungle last game was, you know, we can kill him pretty easily. We can dive towers. It makes it so easy. And now you look at Kana and Kirmi in this game, and it's Surcat, probably the greatest solo lane ganker, period. Pulls relics, a lot of damage, shreds protections. And then you have Hercules, which also a lot of damage, pulls relics, a lot of tradability. So it's going to be on Variety again to not get, you know, completely bullied in this lane. We see Variety in the late game. Late game on this Ryzen, he looks fantastic. That early game, though, is a little rough.
Maybe some of that also coming from, you know, you have Sun Wukong, Camazotz, as you mentioned in the previous game. Two gods who are very easily able to kind of banish themselves from the field of play and still deal a ton of damage to enemy teams. This time you got Hercules, Surcat. Neither of them can pull themselves off the battlefield, but maybe have even faster kill potential and very strong CC. A lot of damage towards BMT, a lot fired packet. Jingaru slowed out, a dash, or I should say a blinking from Kirmi, gets the beads from Big Man and a dash away by Kirmi. Good poke coming in from both teams, trying to keep these mid laners from sticking around safely. Jingaru throws out the silence, tries to keep Captain Twig away.
This is a jungler's paradise in mid lane right now. Both the junglers full health, bullying out the mid laners. Beads pulled on Big Man. Jingaru's health drops to about 100 health. Mid camps getting traded, no surprise there. A lot of what you see currently in this mid 2v2 trade is, unless one of the teams just gets absolutely dominated, you're going to see a trade. And then that leads to whichever side of the lane you go to that shield / cooldown camp. So we see Captain Twig on the shield camp. We have Kirmi going to the cooldown camp. Maybe some kill potential here. Kirmi does have no blink, so it makes it a little bit harder. I think a big difference is Kirmi needs blink to gank this solo lane, and if that's down like he just used it in mid, Variety's definitely a little bit safer.
I think the big thing right now for at least me to keep watch is how active Kirmi is in this mid lane against BMT. Half health with pretty much just the damage from the dash and an in-hand or two afterwards. Really shows Kirmi's kill pressure this early in the game. But I want to see it continue. I want to see him keep putting up that pressure. We've already got beads from BMT. It's still 90 seconds before those come back up. Not sure that Kirmi will be able to hit level 5 in that short amount of time, but if you do, you've got a great option to go in. Link chain from Awesome Jake to connect instead. Turn
Frenzy
back towards your core. Frenzy pops by Quig, but just to get a little bit of extra pressure on the lane, make sure that they can keep this wave pushed up.
Yeah, not a frenzy to kind of get kills. It's just a frenzy for a little bit of pressure there. I think maybe if wave dies a slight bit faster, Jake takes a little bit more damage. But that gives them this pressure to go now get wards or maybe play for this purple buff. And Twig actually gets plucked, pushed by Kana, tries to sustain a little bit off this wave. And Variety actually dashes in. Blue buff is confirmed by Kana. Variety, no dash available, but does not really care all too much. Maybe they chase out for this blue buff.
Twig steals away purple from Snoopy. A series of unfortunate events across the map, and now it's Variety trying to steal blue by himself. Gets hit by the double tap of the pole. Captain Twig manages to take down one first blood for the Camelot Kings. Variety will use the ultimate to keep Kana away. It's a blue buff steal trade out for the two teams, but the Camelot Kings, the ones on top of the first blood.
I am baffled. Like, if you would have asked me who gets both blue buffs, my guess would have been the opposite side for the one that actually got it. Kana just dashed, pushed Variety into the wall, and then ults for the double bounce, and does not confirm the blue buff, and somehow Variety gets it, and then he gets the kill onto Kirmi. Well, Captain Twig gets the kill onto Kirmi, and Variety ticks over to level 5. And already this solo lane is going 80 times better than game 1. Variety is no longer 0-3-0, he is 0-0-1, and he's feeling really good right now.
You gotta feel good, especially given, you know, what you were talking about, what the desk was mentioning. This is a very easy kill combo that the Gladiators have on such a squishy target, because Variety, again, hasn't gone for defense. He said, okay, you know, I could go for Breastplate of Valor. That could be a great option against 2 physical gods that can kill me in an instant. Or what if I just go for Lifesteal? Yeah, what if I just go back to Pipe Bags? What if we get Captain Twig instead? Double ultimates to the jungler. But one of them is just to escape. Jengaru backs away, Kirmi uses his, and immediately jumps out. Kirmi's not even necessarily safe inside his own jungle. Quig's gonna make sure he has to head back to base the long way.
And Quig already ulting out of solo lane to mid lane. He did reset first, so he has that Thieves. He did get his reset off. You compare it to Jake, who's just getting his back off now, gonna start getting some stacks. I think the big highlight for this duo lane right now is Soul spikes a lot quicker than any other physical god because it's just a cheaper item. She has pressure. This Telcon's very, very powerful in this 1v1, in this 2v2. And then the Dev's Gloves, you need to finish the Dev's Gloves, which is more expensive. It doesn't spike as quick. And it's something where, yes, late game it'll be very powerful, but it's a scaling option while Telcon's is to dominate this lane. I would expect the Gladiators to try to just, you know, mitigate dual lane as much as possible. Still try to play through solo, play through, you know, killing variety, getting Kana some kills and a little bit of gold. But that's kind of like the trade we saw in the game, in the first game. It was one team played through solo a lot more, one team played through duo.
Back over to solo lane, speaking of. Blue buff invade, Kana knows that the enemy team has timer on this just because of last time. Doesn't have Boulder, must have used it on the wave for clear. Kana will walk forward. Variety gonna try and hold as much damage as he can. Again, stolen away by the Camelot Kings. Kana, who had complete control in the previous game of the solo lane, between him and Kirmi being able to constantly keep Variety down, now can't keep a hold of anything over on the right-hand side. We do see Captain Twig rotating through the jungle, jump in by Kirmi. Taunt does connect on a BMT. The dash follows up after, but Quig and Captain Twig are already on the way through. Kirmi uses the ultimate, gets taunted right back in, and BMT shuts him down. Jengaru, even with the damage from the house, it's not enough for a kill. Just enough to keep BMT away, but it's 2 kills now for the Camelot Kings. A 2,000 gold lead. Variety pushed to the tower. Yep. Boulder's there for Kana, and he hits only 1 tap of the Boulder bounce. Variety will be fine for the time, but will need to be cautious.
And Kana actually opting for the slightly more defensive Genjis. News purple buff is, or his blue buff is going to get invaded maybe a little bit, so he goes for this quick fetch buff. Jake actually getting gone on in left lane. 3v2 happening over here. Jake got the chain, walks away. Captain Twig with the ult.
Now we do have one ultimate coming through. Awesome. Jake tries to keep himself alive. It only pulls Twig back. Jake stuck in place, and Yarkor takes him down. A great ult by Snoopy for the fight, but he's on the opposite side of the wall almost that entire time. Bails out and lets Jake pay the price for the sins of the duo lane.
Kirmi, Blink available, looking at Variety here. Beads also available for Variety. Beads forced, jumps away. Blink for Beads, trade, and actually we have a dive happening on Snoopy. Snoopy Beads is getting autoed down by Yarkor, picked up. And a kill on duo side for the Kings. 4-0 lead, 3,000 gold. Variety gets his back off. This early game is all Kings.
Yeah, this was the strong point for the Gladiators in game number 1, but it has all been Camelot Kings this time through. The 3K lead, even with Kirmi invading a camp at the back end, still not enough to keep the team afloat just yet. 2,600 XP, 3K gold up. The Camelot Kings just feel like they're on top of the world, and the build's starting to reflect it. Defense for nearly everybody in that second slot. Quig goes in towards Jengaru, tries to keep Awesome Jake away, finds the taunt onto the mid laner. Jengaru still has beads, and the crits not quite enough, but the airstrike is BMT with 1, BMT with 2. The Camelot Kings get a killing spree for their mid laner, up 6-0, and Tier 1 Tower might just be the next one on the chopping block.
That was a crit diff right there. If that crit doesn't happen, I think Jengaru's able to get away, get into the ultimate form, and live. Unfortunately, Big Man, with luck on his side, gets that crit, gets the kill. 6-0 lead now for the Kings. Jengaru taken down, Kirmi taken down, Kana taken down. Everybody, except actually Kana not taken down, just fallen behind from his blue buff, so kind of essentially taken down. Very, very big lead for the Kings. 4,000 gold, 8 minutes into this game. The Gladiators are on the complete back foot at this point. This is, we need something quick and we need something drastic.
Problem is now for the Gladiators, they're fighting into not just this, sorry, now 5,000 lead the Camelot Kings have, but Kings are starting to build into the defense that was alluded to a moment ago. 3 breastplates started up. Wonder if we'll see all 3 go into breastplate of Valor. To be determined, at least on that one, but it's already tough. They already don't quite have the damage to go for these ones. Kirby can't even get close to Variety. This is the difference between a double banish right side of the map for the Gladiators and 2 that have to commit their entire body to a dive. They just can't kill Variety, and it's giving free real estate over to the Camelot Kings. It's a Gold Fury for them. This lead just keeps ballooning more and more out of control, Bobby.
And there's nothing the Gladiators can do in this current moment to slow down the Kings. It's the Kings that have to slow down for the Gladiators to be able to catch back up. There is towers available, but they are down so much they cannot punish or push out enough to actually get down those towers. All objectives going to the side of the Kings, all kills going to the side of the Kings, and every laning god is winning their lane right now for the Kings.
The only one who was ahead, at least a moment ago, was Kirmi for the Gladiators, but now with a 1-0-4 for Captain Twig, 3-0 on BMT. And Quig getting very active on this Athena, 005 for himself. This Athena, no matter what team this Athena has been going to in the league, it has been looking phenomenal for just about every support, win or lose. I'm honestly surprised at this point that this god keeps getting through picks and bans inbound.
And we've seen it even outside of support. We've seen Dardes play it in mid. We've seen it played in the jungle by Lasbra a couple times. This god just wins wherever it's played. And it's not like the god is in this like hugely OP spot. She's just very simple and she makes the game easy to play. And then obviously the shining spot of her is her ultimate, having that global capabilities. And actually the Kings opting to send Variety over to solo lane and 4 to the right side of the map. Maybe some early Fire Giant shenanigans, but I'd be pretty surprised by that.
I mean, it is a very strong lead for the Camelot Kings this early in, but might be a bit too early. Really have massive burn towards objective. Yarkor on the right side with the help of Quig. Won't be enough to take down Kana just yet, but if every shot of Supernova hits, if that heal didn't go through, that's a kill on Kana. Maybe with a taunt pulling up, not quite there for the cooldown. And Kana lives by the good graces of his own heal, procking just in time. One more hit would have been a death sentence for him. Tier 1 tower goes down. Quig loses out on ultimate. And the Camelot Kings with a big win on the right side.
And the Kings actually opting to send Yarkor to the solo side to push down towers. Variety's not pushing down towers. That's never happening. This character is not locked in solo lane for his tower pushing capabilities. Sol, on the other hand, that's 90% of her strength is her ability to kill towers. And so they send Yarkor to that side of the map. He gets that tower. He's actually walking back over to dual lane to pick up his purple buff. They're probably going to send Variety back to solo.
Jake doesn't have ultimate, taunted back by Quig, hit by the persistent gust after Captain Twig. Credit for the kill, but the setup there by the combo of the Hunter and Quig. Big man Tings, level 15 on the Jing Wei, a 3-level gap between mid laners this time, and nothing really to the fault of Jangaru. This has just been Quig constantly rotating across this map, building pressure everywhere. Snoopy doesn't have ultimate, doesn't have beads, doesn't have a second relic to fight back. Variety keeps taunting him back in, and another taunt from Quig, a dive by Variety. A little more damage will do. 1-0-1 for the solo laner. Tier 2 was under threat for a moment there, but not gonna have enough with Jangar and Jink showing up. Tier 2 and left should be fine, but it's Tier 2 and mid going down. This is just, this double Hunter style comp is just executing exactly how you need.
And we heard on the desk Myth actually talking about the Gladiators comp is phenomenal early game. If anything, the only god that really isn't dominant early game is the Baba who wants to farm out. But that is not the case here. Every god on the Gladiator side, early game or not, is behind. It does not matter who they're playing against, who they're playing as. It is just a 9,000 gold lead at 13 minutes. This is ballooning up faster than probably any other gold lead we've seen, maybe even this entire year.
I mean, even when we've seen 20-minute games from teams like the Warriors, it's never been this commanding in this first 13. 8-0 for the Camelot Kings, a 13.5-minute Fire Giant. A Runic Bomb is not enough to secure. The Camelot Kings, though, do manage to get the objective. Kirmi on the run, has enough mobility, but Captain Twig blinks right in. Dive on top of the ult, the slow isn't there, but Yarkor is on the way. Kirmi just has a bit too much mobility between blink, double dashes. It's enough to get him away, but the Camelot Kings, 1340 Fire Giant.
I don't even have like a word for that. This game is so much in favor of the Kings. Every play they are making is just helping their gold lead expand. Their macro has been phenomenal. And the fights they're forcing are, I don't want to say unwinnable, because very rarely are fights unlosable. Very rarely are fights unlosable, but they are nearly impossible to mess up. There's just so much good plays by the Kings this game.
Kings have not let up one bit. This early pivot of even the junglers, you know, the Ratatosker gets banned out in the first phase here in game number 2. Captain Twig moves over to this Rob, and it's looking great for them. 4-man collapse to Variety. He might have to be the sacrificial lamb. Sorry, make that 5. Kirmi wrapping around the bottom. Variety uses the beats. He's just buying as much time as he can, but now he's got backup from Quig to try and continue to bail him out. Quig goes forward, doesn't find the taunts he's looking for, except onto Kirmi. Variety still alive throughout all of this. Everybody really trying to go for this kill on Variety, but still not quite enough damage has been dealt to the team just yet to take him down.
And pause coming through. Fight was happening on solo side of the map. Variety looked to be getting caught out. Does get the relics off. Is able to escape for at least a little bit. But looking at that lead again, 9,000 gold lead for the Kings. They have this Fire Giant. Maybe a small opening here for the Gladiators. There is a high chance that Variety dies in this fight. Double relics have already been used. Ult already been used. Athena ult has already been used. Not a ton of survivability left from him. But it seems like the Glads are almost happy to rotate back over the Kings are happy to rotate over and look to take the fight.
I think the important thing, though, on this one is that all of these resources have been used on Variety, and he's technically still alive. They have 5 people pushing, and he Thundercrashed down. Now the rest of the team is here. Are you kidding me? It's a boulder at the end of it by Kana to get the kill, but 3 already dead, making 4 as Awesome Jake goes down, and 5 might just be the final number. The Camelot Kings pushing forward. Yarkor, by the way, didn't rotate. That was a 4v5 that the Kings have won handedly. Kana, the only survivor of the Gilded Gladiators. Back to the fountain he goes, while the rest of the team is pushing up everywhere else. Yark says, okay, have fun fighting. Towers are my game.
They're spawning.
Left side Phoenix, 5.5 minutes.
And they actually died, and they're already spawning back up because this game is only 15 minutes into the game.
That is insane.
And we are seeing a 15,000 gold lead at 15 minutes. A 1,000 gold lead every single minute.
That might be the most criminal lead that we've ever seen. Like, we've seen games that go 25, 30, sometimes 35 before we see leads like that. 1,000 gold a minute. Because you got to think, Bobby, that's not just, oh, they're getting 1,000. That's 1,000 more than the enemy team every single minute of the game at this point. And they still have more gold to go. 2 Phoenixes standing, Gilded Gladiators. They got their 1 kill. They took down Variety. They got their objective at the end of that fight, but it took them so long and so many resources to do so. The Camelot Kings, alive and healthy, can walk right into the middle Phoenix. Yarkor swinging away at the in-hand. That bird is gone. No runic bomb there to try and go for anything else. Kana taunted back by Quig. The damage follow-up is a bit too much. Dive by Captain Twig, gets the kill. Jake has got 4 chained up, but only pulls back Variety this time, but that should be just enough for the Gilded Gladiators to find their pick. Right side Phoenix still alive. Quig will tank it up so the rest of the team can back out.
I mean, they lose middle Phoenix, but a 1-for-1 trade is one of the best things you can get at this point in this game. 14,000 gold lead, getting that kill onto him, maybe 15,000. Gold lead has not gone up. They get the kill, the trade in solo lane. Pyro spawning very soon. Gold Fury spawning not too long after, along with Fire Giant. At this point, the Gladiators need how many mistakes in a row from the Kings? Are we thinking double digits? 10?
We might be just looking for the word miracle at this point. I think they need a divine intervention to be able to help them out. I mean, being this far down, another Pyromancer for the Camelot Kings, that puts us to 15k gold. I mean, they're 2-man splitting a shield buff with a combined multi-level down to Captain Twig. He's walking it too, and I'm pretty sure Captain Twig wins these 2. He's already used the ultimate, taunts back by Kirmi, and they just gave up. They gave up the fight. There's so much threat from Quig's existence on map that Kirmi and Snoopy as a combo do not want to fight Captain Twig.
I mean, Twig has that breastplate already. He's got the rune forge, so he's got a little bit of survivability. Jake, however, caught out, takes a little bit of damage. Runeforge is procced. Jake gets the chain, able to walk away at least for a little bit. Slow chase out, it seems.
Slow. Roots there. Thunder Crash over the wall. Variety gets the credit for that kill. 14 now for the Camelot Kings. 18 minutes, 15 seconds. Yarkor trying to keep eyes on where Kirmi might be. Kirmi's about to reveal himself on a wave. The dash top by Quig with a crit from BMT. Yarkor might just be able to solo Primal Fury all by his lonesome. They spotted out that Kirmi's on the left side of the map. The Camelot Kings, they won't push for the end, but they'll continue to expand their lead. Primal Fury will go down to the Camelot Kings. At this point, the Gilded Gladiators might just be looking for game number 3 to figure out what went wrong. I think right now the answer is that Quig has just been so oppressive on this Athena. Kirmi tries to dive Variety. Variety says, look, you've already done it one too many times. You're not going to kill me by yourself. It took 5 to kill him last time. 1 will not be there. Fire Giants, the second one of the game, by the way, 19 minutes in. The Camelot Kings, they're just running away with this game.
And left Phoenix still dead, middle Phoenix still dead. Glad's 4-man grouped on left side with just Variety over here.
Oh, he didn't get the stop.
Misses the backstop. Seems like the Glads will be giving up trying to kill Variety here. 4 strong. I mean, this is a huge gold lead. This could be something.
Oh my good God! Blink Taunt is enough for the kill on Kana. Beans were down, so he couldn't even try and fight back Jake. He's got 4 chained up. He'll pull back Quig, but Yarkor's already taken down Kirmi. Changaru trades with one of his own, but Variety is pushing up the left side. He's got minions joining for that left side Phoenix. Have to wait now on a minion wave for the Camelot Kings to be able to push up the next bird. Variety, he doesn't need help. Once the minions walk in, he can clear that one out and rejoin the team. Captain Twig gonna go ahead and take up this Phoenix for the time, but he's not nearly as tanky as his support is this time. Can't hold that as long as possible, but goes in for the blink, and the crits ring true. Too much damage coming from BMT. The Camelot Kings will continue their push forward. Variety taunting Jangaru back with the boulder thrown out, and with Quig still down, the Camelot Kings may just take mid-Phoenix before heading out.
Quig, no ult available also, so this is still a 4v4. But this is a large enough gold lead where it's still pretty much free. The gold lead is now 20,000 gold at 20 minutes. That 1,000 gold per minute pace is being kept up by the Camelot Kings.
That is so hard to do at this point. I mean, you know, when you're up 10,000 at 10, you're like, okay, cool. There's still a tower here. There's still towers over there. There's still Furies. There's legitimately nothing on the map they can take right now, except maybe enemy camps if there's one up, or an enemy life at this point. I mean, the Camelot Kings, they're taking what tiny table scraps are still there for the Gilded Gladiators, and they're smacking those away. They're not letting them get anything.
And on top of it is so hard to keep up a pace like this. When you have fire waves, no longer are you really farming your own waves because it's just pushed into the enemy's side of the map the entire time, and the enemy team is able to farm up those waves. So you're getting rid of your own waves, the enemy is getting free waves, and you're still maintaining 1,000 gold per minute lead just from objectives, camps, and maybe a couple kills here or there. Kings, however, are not waiting for this next Fire Giant. They're not going for Pyro. 21 minutes into this game, 5v5, dash taunt, Quig onto Jake.
This is on a Jake, on a half HP, damage going through, Captain Twig to the back, and Captain Twig with 1. Snoopy at half, goes to the fountain, Jake pulls back BMT, but Kirmi is already gone. Dive out by BMT, he's still alive for the time, another taunt by Quig. It's met with damage from Captain Twig, but not quite enough. Titan now at half HP, Runic Bomb chipping away at the last little bit. And with the damage from the Camelot Kings, they will close it out 22 minutes. Game number 2, and put themselves up 2-0 in the set.
And after a game 2 that is that convincing, going into game 3, it is just a completely different story. This is a now even more backfoot Gladiators after losing that first game. Now they lose the second game in a fashion like this. For you to come back into the set, you need a complete mental reset. And then you look at the Glads comp, and they have some power picks. I mean, Hades is insane, Baba's insane, Naja's fine, Charon's fine, Heim's fine. But neither one of these comps really stick out to me as like, this is a really good comp, very easy to play around. This will be what they need to do. They can play through early game, whatever it is. Neither comp really speaks like that. I will say, Alma Afro dual lane if they can make it to like level 3, there's going to be a lot of kill potential for them onto this Heim and onto this Charon. There's really a lot of safety, good clear, and then there's just a lot of extra damage that's going to be very surprising. We also have Yark opting for going for that Golden Blade, even though he's going to be having Gooseberry, so he's going to have the double dip of that. So clear's not going to be an issue.
Once we do see that recipe online, should be fine for Yark up against Snoopy on a very safe, but also a hunter that can be a bit more aggressive, given a little bit of leniency over in the duo lane. So here's to see how Snoopy will pilot this god. The Heim, not something that's been meta for a long time, really. We've been seeing him kind of passively pop back up for a couple of players. I think namely Stewart has been one to kind of go back to it. This god, Zapman as well, are really kind of the two. I guess you can kind of call them pioneers to bring him back into favor, maybe back into the light. Is it something about Heimdall's kit that makes him coming back? Is it the way that the builds are kind of being pathed? What is it really, at least to you, that's kind of bringing Heimdall back into the limelight?
I think the only thing that sticks out to me is it's just a comfort pick. I think the character is not in a great spot. I don't think his build feels all that great. But I do think a good Heim is very hard to deal with because of positioning and just how they are able to kind of maneuver around the map and in fights, and it's very difficult. Also, if you have a non-beat solo laner, you have just a free ult target to focus out or to just get out of a fight for a free 4v5. So there's a couple things, but mostly I think it's a comfort pick. I mean, Snoopy's not played ADC since season 7, 8, something like that. It's been a while since he's played ADC, so I didn't even know he really even had a Heim. But seems to be a little bit more comfortable on it than some of the other picks because he opts to go back to it in game 3.
Having to fight up against an Amaterasu. Also not a fun matchup for Ama going up into the Charon, specifically in that support role. Throwing out that damnation, getting the attack speed slow, really does put a damper on what Yarkor wants to do. As an Ama, has to get right up on the wave to get that clear. Then you lose out on your attack speed, makes it so hard to really be able to kind of pass and clear up this wave. So Jake will give him a little bit of trouble in the early game. The early game is not necessarily where the Gilded Gladiators have been struggling. Game number 2, yeah, a bit of a tough time. Things just get out of control a little too fast, not able to ring things back in. But when you look back at game number 1, even its first iteration, it was a strong early game for the Gilded Gladiators. It's mostly that mid game that really the cleanup needs to come through for them.
Yeah, 100%. The early game is something that they can actually hang their hat on and say, we played this early game good. Well, other than last game, but game 1, both the games of that, they can really hang their hat and say they played a good early game. I think the Gladiators' problems has always kind of been they mid-game macro strangely a lot of the times. A lot of times they get out-macroed, and then late game their team fight does not seem to be as crisp as other teams and how other teams play. But if they can kind of clean those up a little bit, early game, like we just said, they've always had a fine early game. I mean, already they've got a nice little 300, 400 gold lead just 3 minutes into this game. But that mid game is the important parts, and that's the part that I think they need to focus on.
Yeah, really got to see that cleaned up a bit from the Gladiators if they want to try and take down the Camelot Kings, because Kings have now shown that they can fight multiple times at deficits and still be able to go toe-to-toe with some of these teams. And then we saw now the Kings are able to, with a lead, Frenzy pops by Quig and dive to Jake, but he's able to row right on out. Snoopy jumps to the Bifrost, gets him a little bit of extra distance. Captain Twig lurking on the left side of the jungle, seeing if there's anything that he can do. Try and either go for a gank, go for a kill, but no farm, no kill opportunity. Camelot King's jungler will head back to base instead.
Snoopy trying to soak up the wave outside of the tower, not letting it go under, so he gets the true gold amount for that. Jake backing, going for the Prophetic Cloak again. And when Jake plays this Charon, he usually opts for the same build every game, and it is a build that spikes at level 15, and it spikes very, very strongly. Pre-15, though, it's a little iffy unless you get a lead. The Prophetic you need stacks on. He goes Thebes second. You need to get stacks on the Thebes. That Chronos Pendant third, if you aren't in a good spot, can be pretty detrimental. But a lot of times he's playing this Charon, he's getting a lead. He's already got a lead here. But that is kind of like the spike of this Charon, and that's when I expect to really see Jake starting to pop off.
We'll keep our eyes on Jake as we start approaching mid and then towards late game. I think a secondary story is going to be kind of a difference on the soul lane as well. We're no longer in the Warrior v Mage instance for Variety where he played Raijin a couple of games in a row. Instead, he's on Thor this time. Use the ultimate. Kirmi only one on this side of the map. Kirmi even tried to go for a response, so maybe Variety just trying to answer back. Bulls. Captain Twig. Let's go for the green seal. Gets veered back by the wave. Slowed down. Put him into the sky. Jangaru tries to take him down with ultimate, but not enough damage. Blue buff being stolen by the Gladiators. No from Kanda to help secure that one, but keeping constant threat onto Variety. This was the answer for the Gilded Gladiators in game number 1. It worked out somewhat well, but it's all about keeping up that pressure. If Variety is going to be your focus, double down. Make sure to keep him out, because you can't have someone who you focus the entire game be the first one to hit 20.
This is also a strength that the Kings, I think, have always had, where Variety is probably the best solo laner in the league who plays with a deficit. He knows when to make plays, he knows when to go in, he knows when to trade his life or trade his health bar to try to make a trade for the enemy team. And if you don't put him far enough behind, or if you don't translate your lead on solo lane to other parts of the map, the Kings know really how to deal with that. And it's through Variety, it's through also Big Man just being super effective while his solo lane is behind. Same with Yarkor. Yes, they've transitioned out of genetics and support, they have Quicken support, but I think even through that, Variety has still shown that he's probably the best, behind solo lane player.
See how he can play through this one. Again, he's already lost out on a blue buff. Fight for the shield camp, but Kirmi's wrapping around. He's got ultimate this time. Snoopy goes right in between two of them, and it will be Kirmi to pick up Yarkor. Still holding on to beads on the ground, has the ultimate as well, will be able to stun out nobody because Snoopy used it, and that's enough to get through. Now it's Quick, and he escapes. Stun is there, and awesome Jake's got the damage. The Gilded Gladiators strike first blood. Can they get a second? Captain Twig dashes away. Big Man Tings collapsing in around, has access to the Kraken, hits it onto two, but doesn't get the stun after. Tidal Wave pushes them away from Captain Twig, and Big Man Tings may have just been enough to save his jungle.
And Jangaru rotates also, getting Big Man's beads. Good early opening fight for the Gilded Gladiators. The Naja rotation over. Quig mistimes the ult as soon as the Naja brings him into the air, no longer immuning the actual ult. And when Yarkor goes into the air, Quig is forced to play up a little bit farther. Quig then runs out of mana, gets taken down. Good early fight by the Glads. And also, Big Man losing beads there is something that is a big point when you're playing against Naja. And it's same with Twig. Having no beads on your mid jungle against a god who forces out and punishes beads as easily as Naja, that's like the highlight for this Glads for the next 2 minutes, about 2 minutes till their relics are back up. And that's what Kirmi really has to focus on. Punish the ones that have no beads.
That needs to be the big callback. I do have to highlight again that Yarkor did live throughout all of that. Was the target of the Naja ultimate, had his beads up, but I guess in that instance was trusting Quig to be able to time the ultimate properly. Didn't get so. Lands on the ground, gets a dash away after his ultimate. And remember, Snoopy beadsed out the ultimate. He said, okay, I'm not going to eat this stun. I'm just going to keep fighting back. But Yark was able to put just enough distance to get himself to the back end of the camp, able to dash away, and able to get back to the base, utilizing that Gold Fury pit in a rotation from BMT. So Yark living through all of that investment to kill Quig. Still good for the Gladiators to get a first blood, but just showing the tenacity that the Camelot Kings do have, and still the longevity they have in these team fights.
A 1-0 lead for the Gladiators, about 1,000 gold, 9 minutes in. Not a huge lead, but it is something they can play around with Snoopy and Jake having a good amount of pressure over there. Can they keep playing through it? Can they punish one of these beads being down? It's kind of up to Kirmi. His ult has came back up. He's farming his speed buff. Also, a lot of damage Variety gets on the Kanda there. Even though a little bit of pressure put out, and actually Jangaru beads forced by Twig in mid lane, even after a little bit of pressure put onto Variety in this solo lane, losing that blue buff, he is even. We have about an even game across the map. Level lead in jungle, level lead in ADC for the Gilded Gladiators, and actually Gold Fury being pulled by them.
It is away from Awesome Jake. Can he get in there in time to steal? It will at least hit 3 players on the map. The Kraken used, and the Gold Fury goes to the Kings, but Kirmi has grabbed Captain Twig. No beads for the Ratatosker. It'll be the sacrifice for his squad. Jangaru with the kill, but the Camelot Kings get the Fury.
Fury goes down, Kraken used, secure. That is something kind of keep an eye on too, is through Smite's entire history, Kraken has been a a thought of as a really great secure tool, and
We rarely see it.
rarely is it as a great secure tool. So something that we have to keep an eye on. The Kings are going to be happy to pull these objectives, happy to use the Kraken for secure, and they'll have confidence in big man to secure it. But we've seen it before. Confidence in your mid laner, sometimes it pays off, sometimes they get out secured by like an auto attack or something. So, and not great secure on the Gladiator side of things either. Baba, not a great secure god. Hades, kind of, I guess, depending. Does build a lot of power, usually a lot of people grouping around there, but the end-all be-all of secure in this game is going to be that Kraken.
Yarkora trying to secure his purple buff. Quig on the way. Snoopy able to steal that away with the help of Jake. A slow from the Horrific keeps Quig in position. A stun on top of Quig. And now Yark going back in with his own ultimate. Kirby takes one to the sky as Yark stuns out too. But on landing, we've got the damage of Snoopy. Still not enough damage. The healing is there. The ring toss doesn't get the kill. Variety managed to get one on the right side. Let's trade it out with Quig's life on the opposite. Now Yarkora, I don't even know if he realizes there's a tidal wave heading his way. He's going to get clipped by him from the wave, but not going to do too much to him. It is a 1-for-1 trade, though, because remember, Kana falls to the rotation over on the opposite end. Now Variety trying to keep pressure to Jengaru. No beads for the mid laner. Kirby still holding on to his, but 3 stacks for the Kings now in mid.
A little bit of pressure traded out in solo for dueling. Captain Twig actually gets sashed on. Barely gets out. Home sweet home, barely not enough damage. And Twig gets into the air, gets out. Yarkor getting pressure a little bit in the duo side. 300 gold lead for the Glads.
And it was a kill on the right side. Not sure if that was fully a solo kill or not. We can actually take a look back at it as we start going towards the beacon. Variety able to deal a decent bit of damage to Kana, kind of kick things off. The fight at the beacon actually does manage to take place throughout all of this. Kraken good. Still beacon for the Camelot Kings. Not quite a solo kill over on this side of the map. Captain Twig did show up, but now right back to the beacon. Quig low. Jake just needs a little bit of damage. Anybody can try and knock away Quig, but not going to be quite enough this time. Camelot Kings still down about that 700 to 1,000 gold. The Gilded Gladiators from control around the beacon. Yarkor ultimate forces one from Snoopy. A 1-for-1 in that trade. Captain Twig on the way. No blink for him. And with Snoopy under tier 1, the Gilded Gladiators should be able to get out of this fight.
Maybe a different story if Blink is available or if he has Blink or ult is available. Snoopy, no mana over here. Jake is rotating over, and I think a big highlight that should be talked about right now is Jake is level 12 right now. He's got a 2-level lead in support, and he's the same level as Twig in the jungle. And this is what we were kind of talking about with this Charon. It's a greedy build, for sure a greedy build. But if he gets a lead, if he gets ahead, the build is so hard to deal with because of the constant harass, constant survivability options, and just so much actual damage, which is surprising. Kraken actually on the Jake.
Does get the ultimate in time, but he's already sitting at quarter health. Is able to use that dash to get away. Yarkor stunned out by Kirby. Kirby has the ultimate, but right of Captain Twig nearby. So many different ways to immune out that ult from Kirby. Not going to pull the trigger on it this time, maybe wisely so. Didn't have his own beads. He goes in there. That might just be a dead Najah. For the Gilded Gladiators, still able to maintain this pressure, still hold on to the lead that they established, now about 1,500 up. Still hasn't gone anywhere drastically just yet, but this is the adaptation that we needed to see. Now we start pushing into the game where the struggle started to kick in for them.
And Gold Fury is up, Pyro is spawning soon. Expect grouping soon. Maybe it doesn't have to be a 5v5 grouping, but it may be a 4v4, 3v3. Kana actually gets beads forced before this Pyro even spawns. Should lead to a pretty free Pyro, but on the opposite side, Glads do not care about that Pyro. They want the Gold Fury.
Pyromancer to the Camelot Kings. Yarkor, though, heads over towards the Oni Fury. This might not be as free as they had hoped for. Yark spots out Snoopy, so gets some damage. Beats away from the ultimate. And now Yark can try to keep this fight going because the rest of the team is rotated in. Variety goes to the wall to block off Kirby, who has the Aegis, the Kraken from BMT, and gets the ult just in time to dash out. Yarkor cannot close the gap just yet with a root from Jake. Is able to now bail out Kirby and Snoopy for the time. But with Jengaru and Kana on the way, I don't think the Camelot Kings want to stick around too much longer.
Kings got what they came for. They get the Pyromancer, and they keep the Gladiators from doing the Gold Fury. That 1,600 gold lead is now dwindled down to about 800, and with this Gold Fury being available, if the Kings get this game is completely even. We are talking about a completely even game, and this is the mid portion where the Glads have been leading for most of this game, but as you highlighted, this mid portion is the part that they struggle with the most, and so far they seem to still be struggling with it a little bit.
How do we get the objective? Now it's all about trying to mitigate mistakes more than anything else. It's been Gladiators with a lead, and then one little misstep, one overstay from a player is usually where the mistakes kick up for the Gilded Gladiators. Now, it's the Camelot Kings on the Fury. Frenzy has been popped. The ultimate from Jake already used. Gold Fury still at a quarter and being melted through. The Kraken will secure it this time, so no Kraken for the team fight, but the Camelot Kings don't care about a team fight. They wanted the objective, and nothing more than that. Guarantee it for themselves. Kraken is the secure, and the Camelot Kings tie up the game.
And Kirmi showing in right lane gives the Kings all the information they need to go to this Gold Fury and try to burst it. Like we alluded to, great secure. Poseidon, the greatest secure in the game, easily should be the option for the Kings if it's available. 4v3 on that Gold Fury. At that point, it's free. The Glads cannot really walk in. They get the Gold Fury, they get out. If Kirmi doesn't show in right, I think we're talking about a different story where the Kings are not confident to just pull that without knowing where he is. But because he shows, the Kings can just walk over to that, pull it, take the gold lead, about 400, 300. We'll say it's an even game completely right now. 3-1, kills in favor of the Glads, gold slightly in favor of the Kings.
Beacon gonna be spawning up here soon. Jake already trying to get in position, give his team advantage. Quig uses the ultimate just to try and keep himself alive during all of this. We do have a brief pause before the team fight breaks out between these teams. But now is really the time where I want to see the Gilded Gladiators get that step up. Jake's had the lead for the majority of this game. Prophetic Stack is nearly already completed for him. Gauntlet of Thieves done. Chronos Pendant picked up. There's that level 14 power spike at the moment. Now once that next level kicks in, that's the one that you were talking about at the beginning of the game.
And that is the point that I think the Glads have to know. That's like the go point. When that war flag is finished into a war banner, the Glads have to start looking for this advantage. We also see the Baba Yaga going for that cloak. Not a surprise. It's not a surprise when Baba goes it because of her passive. But that is still no longer a character that you can really deal with all too well. She doesn't do a ton of damage when she finishes that cloak, but she is so hard to kill.
Yeah, it's been tough for a lot of teams to be able to kill a Baba Yaga. Even if a team is losing a game with a Baba Yaga in there, you're never going to see massive death on the stat line there. We do jump back in, so does Captain Twig. A double dunk onto Kirby and Jake. Kraken onto Jake. He's a bit too far forward. The wall misses, the kiss misses. And Jake is back under the tier 1 tower, but he and Kirby cannot stick around long. This tier 1, only a couple hundred hits left on, or a couple hundred health left on it. And a few in-hands. The Kings will knock it down. And once you know, the Beacon ready to go as well. The Camelot Kings, while no kills in that team fight, complete control over the Gladiators.
And tier 1 tower into the Beacon gives this Kings a lead. It's still, we're 17 minutes into the game. 1,000 gold isn't the end-all, be-all lead that you need. But every 1,000 gold you get is a 1,000 gold lead you're going to be having a lead with. And the more gold you get, the more advantages you have to be able to push your lead even more. And the Kings, with even the smallest of leads, it doesn't even have to be a gold lead, like a positioning advantage, the Kings take advantage of it. So what are they going to be looking for? Level 14 on the Aphrodite. Level 15 is when you get your starter and support. And level 18 Variety. Not too surprising because of not a ton of pressure over in Soul Lane, but level 18, highest level in the game.
Sitting here thinking Variety doesn't even know what to do right now, because the last few games has just been, oh, camp Variety, make sure that Variety doesn't get to play the game. Now he gets to. He gets to walk around the map, clear up jungle camps, no problem, deal with the lane minions. He's having a field day right now as Kirby gets hit by the Kraken, use the Aegis to immune the damage from it, but Jake continues forward, gets through it onto one, but meanwhile, Captain Twig is up on the tree. Variety teleports in, awesome Jake, hit by the knockup, uses the ultimate, but it's only gonna hit Captain Twig this time. Dash into the wall, catches him out, but Jake is caught between the two different walls. BMT, credit for the kill there, but a great setup by Variety to make sure that he goes down this time.
And Variety backed right before that fight popped off, and it seemed a little worrisome that that was going to be a fight in favor of the Glads. Fortunately, really good active usage, really good ult and positioning by Quig. Ult by Big Man forces out also Kirmi's Aegis, and then Variety's able to TP back and get a very nice wall, picking up Jake. Jake's still only level 14, still has not hit that big spike of level 15, but he does have the big spike of having that cloak finished, which ton of protections right now, ton of mitigations also.
Tier 1 tower on the right side for the Camelot Kings. That's Tier 1, Pyromancer, kill, and a second Tier 1. Variety at this point, he's just having fun in the solo lane since he's not being camped. Hammer over the wall, Kirmi right around, and he spots him out. He knew that there was a ward there, or at least Variety had that ward for safety.
This Thor has ult.
Does have ultimate. Variety's coasting right now. He is
His beads too.
the biggest chill of anybody at this point. At this point, all he's doing is just distracting people, because now look where the rest of his team goes. It's right up to the Primal Fury. You try camping Variety every single game, and so far it has not paid off. Wall from Jake, not enough. Kraken will get the Fury. Now can Jake get out of this fight? The stun doesn't connect. Kirmi and Jangara around the corner. Captain Twig gets hit by the ultimate from Quig to keep him alive, but Kirmi goes in and he does manage to pick up one, but on landing there's got to be more burst damage. Jarkor's still alive, finally goes down to Snoopy. Captain Twig not quite enough, and potions from Jangaru dealing a good bit of damage. Duncan from Variety has to beads to teleport to the hammer. Team fight maybe not won by the Camelot Kings, but they got the Fury at the end.
Really good play by Kirmi there, forcing out the relics and then punishing the one who does not have the beads up. The big question mark that I have before even talking about the Gold Fury is, why are we, this Thor is nearly unkillable at this point. He has the ult for safety, he has hammer on like a 6-second cooldown, then he also has, I don't remember if I said beads or ult, but he has beads, ult, and hammer for a ton of safety. You're not going to be able to force that out and then also kill him after. You're showing 3 people to this side of the map. The Gold Fury is going to be free. Fortunately for the Glads, there's still not enough damage that the Kings have to actually destroy that before anybody can rotate. So they're able to rotate, they're able to actually pick up Yarkor in exchange for that Gold Fury. But why are we trying to punish Yarkor? I mean, why are we trying to punish Variety? That's my question. He's just impossible to kill at this point.
Oh, by the way, he's first to 20. Same with BMT. Kings go immediately to the fire. Jake is here. Does have ultimate. That's heavy CDR. Lava's helping him keep this stuff up. Jangaru's going to try and go for the steal. There's a coin flip in the fire, and the Camelot Kings land on heads. Krana goes down into the middle of everybody. Yarkor, credit for that kill. Variety up to the sky. Where will he dunk down on? Is it back onto Jake? Is it to the enemy frontliners? He'll hammer, or at least dunk in the middle of everybody, and gets stunned out by Kirmi. He takes him to the sky. Variety will even be alive on land. There's nowhere near enough damage. It's got to be the help of Snoopy to get him. A pushback by Snoopy. That's 2 for him. The damage is good, but it killed the Gladiators that the King stuck around for too long. Now Quig, sun down, thrown through the realms, and even with a whirlpool nearby, that's not enough of a bailout. Snoopy gonna grab his 3rd one of the fight. Triple kill for the Hunter of the Gladiators.
And the Kings overstay their welcome. They get the confirm on the Fire Giant, but they use too many ults while trying to secure it. And after the fight, the Gilded Gladiators able to rotate in and pick up 3. Tings and Twig are the only ones with Fire Giant left, and an absolute huge positioning advantage that Snoopy had, got off a ton of damage and was not able to get committed to by anybody on the King's side. Snoopy with the triple kill there. Great fight. 4-0-3 for the Gladiators Hunter.
Big turnaround for the Gladiators. He almost lost his life to BMT. A 1 versus 1 goes BMT's favor. Doesn't get the kill on Snoopy. Ultimate by Kirmi, forced out just by the wall from Variety. A little too much threat in mid. Even Captain Twig putting some threat towards Kirmi's life over by Beacon. And now we will have the Titans march up. It'll be over in the left side of the map with Fire Giant down. Not a whole lot for them to really push in. Gilded Gladiators. They'll mount 2 on the right side of the defense, but Camelot Kings with only 2 people on fire, not really the best push opportunity for this team just yet.
Yeah, they don't have the ADC available either. They opted for the Warrior in ADC. So they don't have two ranged options to, well, okay, they have technically two ranged auto attackers, but one is an Aphrodite support. So we're gonna say it's one ranged auto attacker to actually commit to the Gold Fears and the towers. Titans pushing down left, Twig doing his speed, Kirmi doing his speed. 3-4 people from each side going to the left. Maybe potential for a team fight here. I would expect the Glads to play this a little bit more safe, kind of let the Titan push towards them and then kill it when it comes to tower. But potential for maybe a fight here.
Gladiators grouping up towards the left side. All 10 players, at the very least in the left side jungle, means we could be seeing a big fight break out. Relic's still down for a few of the Gladiators. Beads coming back up in 5 seconds for BMT. Variety caught out and used the Beads. Teleports away. Now the Gilded Gladiators have advantage around the Titan. Theirs lost about half of its health from the poke of the Camelot Kings, but with Variety now poked out, we'll need Quig to either resustain or wait for the Gladiators to step too far forward. Kirmi was at the ring toss. Gets a little bit of damage, but that's the Camelot Kings are too privy to sticking around for too much longer. Variety wall through the wall, gets Kirmi, the Yarkor goes in. Let's take a listen in with the Gilded Gladiators for the fight.
Hello, spirit.
Clear calls by Kirmi, captaining for the team. Keeping eyes on where this Ratatosker is, making sure to let the team know, do we want to keep going, do we want to not stay in this fight. Awesome Jake, though, slightly caught out. Whirlpool Tidal Wave does a decent bit of damage. The Camelot Kings don't really have the big push for this fight. They used up a lot of their relics. Meanwhile, for the Gladiators, everything back up for them. They can start up this next big fight if need be.
And Jake, not a ton of threat onto him for range damage. He needs to get auto-attacked by Yarkor a lot to actually be threatened. For now, it seems like really the only threat onto him is Big Man on the Poseidon. And he's gonna have to invest that ult if he wants to kill. So Jake in a very, very tanky, healthy spot right now. And right now, even though the Kings won the last fight, the Kings got the last fire, actually Variety gets hammered in on ulted.
Wave does hit 3 on landing. There needs to be more follow-up on a Variety. There's not there quite yet. Kraken slams through Kana. He gets him erased immediately. Yarkor, credit for that kill of BMT with the big follow-up damage. Not even a chance for Kana to get his ultimate off during that fight. The CC chain and the damage just a bit too much for him. Jake gets stunned out by Quig. The Camelot Kings push back in. It's a double dunk in from the Assassins. Variety off of one. Captain Twig waiting for his dunk to the second one. Snoopy used the Gallarhorn, but it's a little too early. Still gets hit by the knockup from Captain Twig. And Jake, he can't row away. The Whirlpool has locked him in place for the Camelot Kings to take him down.
And there's so much confidence in Jake with these fights, but the rest of the team does not seem to be sharing that confidence. They are sitting behind him as Jake is playing up. Jake trying to bait himself, but eats too much damage, gets taken down. 2 dead on the side of the Glads. Kana's up in 8 with no teleport, and the Kings playing up, maybe looking for a pick before this fire spawns.
Kirmi walls, Whirlpool, silence. It's all just too much. If you step even 1 foot too far forward, the Camelot Kings have the punish. Variety, the front line now, seeing if anyone steps up, but no one will. Camelot Kings, 27.5 minutes, will take the Fire Giant, though the lead not astronomical yet, sitting only around that 5,000 mark. But this is now our first significant lead of the game for this team. 5K up, still a few towers to deal with as well.
Kirmi down for 30, and the Kings still feeling healthy, still have all their ults up. Couple relics down on Quig, and no TP for Variety. Happy to push down middle, get that tier 2 in mid, and then back up to this Gold Fury. 7,000 gold lead, Primal Fury in their sights. This back for the Kings is going to be pretty big. They just got a Fire Giant, they won the fight, Pyro, and now they're also doing gold. 3,000, 3,000, 2,000, 2,000 in hand. And I mean, even their lowest farm, Twig has got 2,000 in hand. We're seeing entire item buys off this back. Looking at Big Man already getting the Reaver. We have Quig getting the Spirit's Robe. Potions of Power coming through. This is going to be an uber powerful Kings comp when they look to siege.
Even a Shogun's Kasari and an upgraded breastplate now for Yarkor, so fully stacked up on his items. Really the only one who's going to be shy on a 6-slot build, is going to be Quig, still holding on to Recipe at this point. No further golden hand, instead opted to upgrade his relics entirely along with the Spirit Robe. Camelot Kings, they got their push forward. And for the Gilded Gladiators now, having to actually play fully defensively on these sieges. What's the highlight for the Gilded Gladiators on these siege defenses?
Highlight is kind of the weakness of the King's comp when it comes to sieging. We talked about it a little bit. Really only one auto attacker that can hit this from a range. If they want to actually commit and go for this, either Yarkor's going to have to hit it, Twig's going to have to hit it, or Variety's going to have to hit it, which is not all too likely. So the actual Phoenix damage is going to be pretty low for the Kings.
Do you see? Yarkor step forward, BMT nearby. In the sky is a Variety. Kana's got 3 locked inside. The Kraken hits him, but it doesn't do a whole lot. BMT just needs to get out, but he gets hit by the wave. And the potion follow up after Chinkaru. First kill of the fight. The Camelot Kings, their kryptonite of the left Phoenix, is coming back to bite him once more. Quig stunned down, thrown into the sky. Captain Twig might just have to turn tail and run from this one, but he does in the middle of everybody. Finds 2 with the damage. Quig is still alive through this. It took a lot to kill the frontliner for the Camelot Kings, but Captain Twig, he's got the runic bomb. He says, well, we might lose the fight, but I'm gonna get this Phoenix, even if it costs me my life. He takes it down and walks back into the enemy base. The Titan will swing away, but he's just buying as much time as he can before he goes down. Turn around for a little bit, dashes past Chinkaru, but it'll be Jake who shuts him down.
And while that's happening, also in mid lane, they're able to get that Phoenix also. So 2 Phoenixes down, even after losing the fight. And you see kind of how this Glad's comp wants to play. Forcing out relics onto Big Man, and then chasing down Big Man slowly but surely. The Hades ult forced out beads, and then the Karin ult was chasing him down through the lane, ends up hitting him, pulls him back to the rest of the team, and they end up killing him with the Baba ult damage. But even through that fight, the Kings lose the fight, for sure. Not a close fight at all. But the macro play by the Kings to not, maybe try to salvage the fight, they just go and they take the Phoenixes, which is what you're there for in the first place.
Captain Twig, recognizing he had Runic Bomb, says, well, I can still get some value from this one. Even if I die, as long as I get the Phoenix, it's worthwhile. And the amount of time that he buys, not only taking the Phoenix, but kind of just leading the Gladiators around their own base at that point. Give them that opening. So now, 2 birds down, Fire Giant on respawn in a little over a minute before the Camelot Kings can head back that direction. Still, a bit of a gold lead up, but at this point in the game, the real significance of that gold lead is starting to come through, mostly for the right side of the map. Kirmi still hasn't been able to buy his last item. Kana waiting to be able to upgrade his robe to the very end of it, so most of that lead really showing between those players there. The Camelot Kings, they're already starting to mount up their defense and get their vision control around fire.
And these fights have shown that backliners aren't really a threat too much. I mean, that was Ting's first death. Yarkor is 2 deaths, and then you see from the Gladiator side, actually 0 deaths on both their backliners. This game is going to be won and lost through who frontlines better. Is Quig going to be able to get some big ults off, waste as much abilities from the enemy as possible? Is Jake going to be able to bait as long as he can, also trade out pretty well? That is going to be the highlight for this next Fire Giant fight. This is going to be an EFG, and they have left and mid pushing down with fire waves.
No teleports, no globals aside from if you want to throw a Bifrost for Snoopy to one side of the map and try and push that one up. So now on a timer are the Gladiators. Do you want to stick around and keep this fight up? Do you want to head back and try and salvage your Titan as much as you can? Yarkor will split push by himself, dealing with the right tower. Not quite enough damage to be able to do it by himself just yet, but look, he just keeps distracting the Gladiators. 3 players immediately start rotating over right, and it's now set up for the Kings to go towards fire.
And with the wave pushing into base, this is going to be, like you said, a timer for the Gladiators. They have to look to respawn soon. Yarkor actually wasted a little bit of time going to that right tier 2. And that Titan's taking a little bit of damage. Actually, Kraken was forced right there.
Kraken goes through the Camelot Kings. Can they keep this fight pushing in? Let's take a listen in with the Kings on the fight.
Killing spree. Double kill. I'll do the sea. I return. Triple kill. Double kill.
And a full house to end it all. 3 for one, a double kill for another. The Camelot Kings, they don't need a fire giant inbound. They're just going to walk right in. 3-0, the Gilded Gladiators take the set for themselves on our first day in week number 5.
And a quick highlight for the Gladiators after that game too, the ability to kind of come back into this game and put a lot of effort into this game and make it as close as it was. 11-11 in kills. I mean, it says all about this game. This was punches thrown back and forth. Unfortunately, the Kings win that last fight. They come out on top, but a good final game by the Glads.